It's intermission. Let's talk about what you can do during intermission. Woo! So, a couple of different things you can do. Did someone boo intermission? You're not allowed to pee. What's good? Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Newest Olympian. My name is Mike Schubert. I'm the titular Newest Olympian. I'm a grown man who never read the Percy Jackson books as a kid, but I read them as an adult because I was on a quest to determine if this was a book series that society had been sleeping on. I said yes, and now I'm seeing if society has also been sleeping on the Heroes of Olympus series, and I'll do the whole Riordanverse. We're going to do it all. Now, you may have recognize that the title of this episode says that it's a live show from Milwaukee, and it currently sounds like I'm in a Swiss bathroom, which I am. The reason I'm here is because the first 10 minutes of the live show were lost to time. Who's to blame? No one knows. Is it possibly the fact that the sound engineer at the live show didn't hit record even though he has like 2 jobs to do? Yes, that's why it got lost to time. So I'm joined by the 2 guests who you will hear for the rest of the episode to give the context of what happened in the first 10 minutes of the show. It's Johnny Frohlichstein and Eric Hamilton Schneider. Folks, how's it going?
It's going great. If it sounds like I am in my home office in Ohio, it's because I am.
It's a bummer that those 10 minutes got deleted because we finally revealed to the world what's happening in Area 51, but we can't do it again, so too bad.
One time only. Only. For context, we're recording this on May 16th, the Friday before the episode comes out. The live show that we did was in, oh my God, what is time?
April.
It was in March. April? When was it?
It was definitely in April.
Okay, cool.
We were not on the road 2 months ago, I'm pretty sure.
I should probably, let's see. Hold on, let me look it up. It was April 11th, according to the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, which did write about the fact that I was doing a show. So the show was on April 11th.
Fun little inside baseball about these shows is Mike just puts me in a closet in between live shows, so I have no idea how long it's been because I've just been staring in the dark wall.
Yeah, Severance is actually a documentary about what I do to Johnny Frohlichstein. Yeah, I had to bring it to the severed floor so that we could record this intro. Let's do it so that this intro recapping the first 10 minutes isn't 85 minutes long. So basically, took the stage in Milwaukee. Johnny, I brought you on stage first. And the big things for context is that you got distracted by someone in the second row wearing a particular baseball jersey. And do you want to recap exactly how that went down?
Yeah, so I stopped mid-sentence because I laid eyes upon this jersey. It was like a jersey, too, not a T-shirt. It was a full baseball jersey. And it said Udder Tuggers on it.
Really large, huge letters.
Yeah. Big udders, big tuggers. And I said, I'm sorry, I have to ask, what jersey is that? What jersey is that for? And this woman had the gall to say, the Milwaukee baseball team.
You know, the team they have there.
And I don't remember exactly what I said, but I said something to the effect of I'm pretty sure that's the Brewers.
Yeah.
Who are you talking about? And then there was a little back and forth where basically they were like, oh yeah, no, it's the team, it's the Undertuggers. And it became quite clear they're the minor league team, to which I did have to retort, yeah, there is the Major League Baseball team is called the Major Leagues.
Right, they get the designation.
Yeah, I think they're the default baseball team. But this person, whose name is escaping me right now, and I would be able to look it up before the episode comes out if I wasn't in Switzerland, because I would go back and read the note, because they sent a lovely package with a large Udder Tuggers t-shirt for you, which you are currently wearing, and a small little Udder Tuggers mascot plush toy for the little one, which is adorable and it was so sweet. So thank you so much to that person whose name is escaping me. The package arrived shortly before this big trip, so my brain was in a lot of different places, but super sweet and a really funny thing to kick it off.
Pretty sure the plush toy was for me, but that's fine.
The note directed otherwise, but maybe we could have the plush toy for you and the very, very too big for her shirt for the little one.
It's like more than a smock. It's like a... Yeah.
Now, then we brought Eric on stage, and
Yes.
we mainly discussed, as you've already brought up, whether or not Ohio was in the Midwest, which is going to be a running theme of all of these episodes, because I don't think the Midwestern United States has an agreement as to whether or not Ohio is in it. Any other context to bring into the mix from your time in Milwaukee, Eric?
No, I had learned on stage at this show that the previous episode, which all of the beautiful people listening have already heard, that there was quite a bit of St. Paul. They were very anti-Cleveland being part of the Midwest.
Yeah.
And Milwaukee also, it felt a little bit more split, but I'd still say 60% said Cleveland, not the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely say Cleveland is the Midwest, and I will say that in the next 4 episodes as well. Yeah, I think this all comes down to, if I can say my piece on this episode before everything else, is I think that this whole idea of the Midwest accent has been overtaken by Minnesota and Wisconsin, and so now they claim ownership of the Midwest, and the further east you get, the less Midwestern they view it. But I would say we are all collectively in the Midwest.
It's very fitting that I'm in Switzerland for this recording because I'm very neutral about this. I'm fascinated by the Midwest and what states count and believe others don't count. And I just find it so fascinating as someone who didn't grow up there and has mainly only been in the Midwest for these tours. So I just find it interesting. Also, speaking of Switzerland, everyone come to the live shows that we're doing for Potterless on Saturday, the 24th of May, and TNO on Sunday, the 25th of May. Now, the other thing that happened in the intro is that the three of us started to talk about how fortuitous the location of the place we were staying was, but then we had to stop ourselves halfway through because we didn't want to dox and let everyone know exactly where we were staying for the night. Now, Johnny, I feel like I should give you Johnny, I feel like I should give you the honors because it's a particularly important location for you. I had just kind of picked the place that was going to fit us the best and was close to the venue and price-wise made sense and had enough beds, but the location couldn't have been more perfect. Why don't you let us know why?
So at a bachelor party in 2018, I went to Milwaukee, and we went to a store in Milwaukee called Art Smart's Dart Mart and Juggling Emporium. It is my own personal Valhalla. It is my favorite place on planet Earth. They have wacky, like old-timey, peanut cans that have snakes in them and bubblegum sticks that shock you, just like the absolute silliest store you could possibly imagine. Anyways, I told Mike he had to go there on a previous tour in Milwaukee. He didn't have time, so I was like, we gotta go this time. We gotta go to this time. We end up at our Airbnb, and lo and behold, across the street is Art Smart's Dart Mart.
And Juggling Emporium.
And Juggling Emporium. Sorry. Don't hate me, Art. And the morning after the live show, I got to wake up, roll over in bed, and gaze upon my single favorite place on God's green earth. And it was just a delight.
It was great. And your birthday was happening very close to when we were on tour. And what I had decided to do for your birthday was take you to Art Smart's Dart Mart. And I was just thinking, okay, we'll just go in the morning before we head to Des Moines. And I had no idea. I thought the place we picked was perfect because it worked out well. And then it was above a really good Italian bakery. So I was like, oh yes, I've nailed it. This place is above a bakery. And I think I might have even sent you, Johnny, the Google Maps link to it. We were so close to seeing that it was across the street from Art Smart's Dart Mart and Juggling Emporium. And thankfully, none of us did recognize that. So then when we pulled in, and you freaked out and Eric almost drove off the road.
I almost made us get in a wreck.
Yeah, I wouldn't say when we pulled in, but I was driving because I drove the whole road trip, and out of nowhere, Johnny freaks out and starts screaming, Art Smart Dart Mart. And I'm like,
and Juggling Emporium.
What is, and I did not know about any of this.
Yeah, you just thought I was having an aneurysm or something.
No way to hear that this was a place that existed. So all of a sudden it was just a man who I've only had met, Johnny, once before at Mike's wedding for maybe 10 minutes. And I had only picked him up from the bus terminal or the train terminal.
From the intermodal station.
The intermodal station, which you'll hear more about in this episode. But I've spent about 25 total minutes with Johnny at this point, and now he's just screaming the words Art, Mart, Dart, Smart, Juggling Emporium in my general direction. And I'm like, I don't know what's happening. I'm just trying to get us to an Airbnb. And it was delightful. And then it all made a lot more sense.
Yeah, I'm just screaming in the backseat like a Muppet.
It was great. It was great. We went, I got you a shirt and everything. It was lovely. And I think that completes it for recapping the first 10 minutes, probably in more than 10 minutes, because we actually got to dox ourselves and say where we were staying this time.
And if we don't talk about it later in the episode, we also had the spiciest Thai food ever. But I do think that comes later.
I'm not sure. It may have. I don't think this made it in, but I had ordered a plate of crispy duck curry and it was like $30. And in New York, that's like an entree, especially duck. Like duck is a little more expensive. So I was thinking, okay, yeah, sure. Because we're in the Midwest, it was a family portion and I ate it for the next 3 meals. It was ridiculous. And I had to remember, you're not in New York anymore, Toto.
Things are affordable here.
Very much so. Okay, we've done enough talking about not Percy Jackson that we should get into the Percy Jackson. Now you'll hear what we were talking about, which was Eric and I discussing our new podcast, which we made, which I've discussed on this podcast now a couple of times, The Last and the Curious, a podcast you can get on the Tino Patreon shop. And it's me going through the Fast and the Furious series for the very first time and Eric going through it for the umpteenth time. And it was very fun. But we do a good enough job describing it that I think we can just transition into that now. But Eric and Johnny, thank you for joining in this intro. And I'll see you really soon with past Eric and past Johnny from the Milwaukee live show, which was lovely.
This is like Tenet.
Oh, so confusing. I'm going to get Nolan on the line. Sequel time. Here we go.
I had never
What's
seen
the deal, guys?
I had never seen the Fast and the Furious movies before. Eric's a big super fan, and we did one episode per movie where when we were doing Midwest tour, if you believe that that's the Midwest, last time around, we would watch a movie, immediately record it, and then we did that for all of the Fast and Furious movies.
It's a lot of fun. You can get on Mike's Patreon for the Newest Olympian for $5 now.
Or
no ads.
Or, no ads at all. And you could also go to thelastandthecurio.us, and it'll auto-link you to the thing. We're paying for that URL because the bit is good, but
it is.
Why didn't you call it Furious List?
Get out of here! Let's get into chapter 51, which is called Percy. Obviously, we will retitle it by the time we get to the end of the chapter. Where we last left our heroes, they had just defeated the enemy army. Polybites got squashed, and the battle was complete. So the beginning of chapter 51 starts with, quote, "The Feast of Fortuna had nothing to do with tuna, which was fine with Percy. It would be fine with me too, depending on the tuna. I'm like good with a sushi tuna or like a tuna steak tuna, but when you're getting into like canned tuna or like tuna melt tuna, not my style. Are you tuna people?"
I love a tuna melt.
Ooh, not
so
for me.
good, so good. A hot fish with cheese? Who doesn't love that? Who doesn't love that?
You're gaining Midwest points. You're gaining Midwest points.
I know. And I'm also not lying. I mean, literally, me and Kelsey were at Costco a week ago, and we joked about getting tuna because we keep accidentally buying more tuna. And we're like that TikTok where it's like the guy that keeps buying hoisin sauce, and then you realize he has more hoisin sauce in his fridge already. That's a reference some people got, which works.
I've never downloaded TikTok, but that is me with garlic. I'm always like, I don't want to have garlic, and we usually have like 3 full bulbs of garlic, which is not a problem.
I mean, I definitely know that a tuna steak is the best type of tuna. But
I thought you were going to say steak, and I was going to challenge that.
But yeah, I mean, I like tuna in all of its many forms.
Tuna guy?
You can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish.
Just answer the question.
I have no thoughts. I have no thoughts.
So, they are at the Feast of Fortuna. It does not have anything to do with tuna. Everyone, lairs, campers, Amazons, they're all gathered for dinner. And the fawns are also there too because they helped bandage people up after the fight. Everyone's in good spirits. And the way that they say it is, everyone is in good spirits. There weren't many casualties, which is a wild way to say some of our friends died. Very blasé of like, not too many people died, but I get it's a book. It's like no one that we actually cared about died,
right,
but
no one
it's
names.
still just like a wild.
Later on, it does suggest that like Thanatos just kind of like peace out and leave some people alive that should have died. So maybe no one on their side died. I don't really know.
Yeah.
They do very specifically be like, yeah, he just like gave some people an extra little bit of time.
My understanding was that it was more of like the people. Oh yeah, okay, but
It's still a weird note that they're
Yes.
like not a lot of our friends died, and then later on are like, yeah, but no one died.
Right, yeah, they have the line where they're like Gwen and other people who had died like came back, but I guess they didn't say the timeline. I don't know if like
Oh, yeah,
I thought it was the
die.
people that had come back that were supposed to go back didn't go back.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that makes more sense. That makes more
where-
sense.
Yeah, I think that's what it's at, but still wild all around where they're just like, let's not think about that. We've got snacks to eat, which I can sympathize with. So they don't know if Thanatos is just giving these people a pass or if Pluto has given more instructions to keep people alive like he's done with Hazel. But regardless, everyone's like, we're not complaining. Let's just not bring it up that some of our friends might not supposed to be alive. Anyway, sandwiches. So they have Roman and Amazon banners hanging together in the rafters. The eagle is back behind the Praetor's table. The walls are filled with cornucopias that magically recycle food and chocolate and stuff, which is the coolest version of a chocolate fountain I've ever heard of. That sounds rad as hell. But they have also going on a lot of intermingling, which is cool. Lots of different people sitting at different tables, people bouncing from table to table. And now Cohort 5, who was once the big nerds and the geeks that nobody liked and they were shunned away, they are now beloved by all because they saved the day, which is cool.
I don't know about you. My favorite part of my own wedding was the whole like worlds colliding thing where like I had the Amazons and I had the, Romans, like my own personal equivalent of that. That was the best part of my wedding was like seeing all of that.
Yeah, I've done this a lot just with like my life. The wedding obviously was another example of it, but I just have such like a weird scattershot of different interests and stuff where anytime I would just have a party, it would be like, well, those are the people that I know from Vine, and those are the people that I know from YouTube, and they're podcast people, and there's my friend who I've known since kindergarten. Like it's always the weirdest thing. And then I would
Mike's so popular that he has friends from Vine and from YouTube.
And from kindergarten.
I don't know if popular is the word I would use.
Okay, Glinda.
But what's also fun then is like if I just keep having the same parties and inviting people over, then like people become friends. So like my friend Tim, who I knew from YouTube, and Tim Johnson from YouTube as well, he would come, and then my friend Sequoia, who you all know from podcasting stuff, and then it was just a mix of like, well, they met because I was at LeakyCon in Orlando and Tim lived there, and then he came and we hung out in Sequoia's hotel room and stuff, and then they're in New York, and it's just all like you get the weird friendships that form from it too, and it's fun. So I like all the intermingling. Percy's having a good time. Seems like everybody's having a good time. Narrator Percy notes that there was a lot of flirting and arm wrestling, which he says, quote, which seemed to be the same thing for the Amazons. I was imagining the Amazons as like full-grown women, but I guess they are also teenagers?
I think you're thinking of the Amazons from Wonder Woman,
Probably.
in which they are, in fact, full-grown women.
Yes.
I think these are probably the same age as all the other characters in these books.
Teens.
Teens.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that would make sense to make everyone a kid.
Yeah. Everybody's a teen.
Because that is just a bunch of 20-year-olds hanging out at a high school party. And that's bad.
Oh, and never a good vibe.
You think Gal Gadot is going to be playing Hylla?
No.
Listen to The Last of the Curious for more Gal Gadot takes.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. She's so bad at acting and being a person. So, what we learned is that Kinsey, who we met before, kind of like the main assistant person, she came on to Percy. He had to inform her, I already have a girlfriend. And Kinsey takes it pretty well. She then goes on to explain how Hylla defeated Otrera in battle twice to remain as queen. And they now call Hylla Queen Hylla Twice Kill. Why are they not calling her Queen Hylla Twice Killa? I am so disappointed with Rick Riordan.
See, I have a very different take because I don't know if anyone knows it, but there's a video game called Paradise Killer. Very weird video game, murder mystery. There's gods involved. Really interesting art style and everything. Came out a few years ago. But all the characters in that game have really weird names. The main character is named Lady Love Dies, and Hylla Two Kill is just exactly that same vibe. It's like all the characters in that game have just weird names. I was like, that matches that whole kind of feel. And I just loved it. I loved it as a name.
Now, you listened to the audiobooks on the way
I
here.
did.
Did they pronounce Hylla like Hylla, or was it like Hyla? Because that's the other thing I could say. If it wasn't actually rhyming with Killa, I will give it a pass.
I want to say, well, I was listening at 1.5 speed.
Okay.
Because
So they're
they are,
talking about Hylla.
well, because their book book's for children, so they say the words kind of slowly.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can handle this book for 12-year-olds at a little faster pace. Also, audiobooks are always, but I do think they say Hylla. They say Hylla.
Okay.
So you're listening at 1.5 speed, and you're reading at like 0.25 speed because
I
you have to
do-
take notes on every single thing.
Exactly. And our powers combined is you, who just reads it at a normal speed. So Kinsey said, quote, Otrera stayed dead the second time. And then the narrator says, Kinsey said, batting her eyes, we have you to thank for that. If you ever need a new girlfriend, ... well, I think you'd look great in an iron collar and an orange jumpsuit, which is not necessarily the greatest pitch for Percy.
Okay. Also,
Hold on, I heard someone do the woo-woo whistle.
yeah. I mean, are we talking about like this feels rather S&M to me?
I think they're talking about the slave men that they have in their Amazon warehouse from a couple of chapters ago.
I mean, yeah, people are into that. You know, I don't yuck anybody's yum.
It's still a little fun.
Percy can't tell if she's joking or being serious, so he thanks her and leaves and goes to a different seat. Raina then gives a speech after the meal starts to die down. She welcomes the Amazons and thanks them. She hugs Hylla and everybody cheers. She states that her and her sister didn't always see eye to eye and they chose different paths, but she can now see that they both made good choices. And this is what I'd been saying earlier, where, you know, they're all talking about like had this rough childhood and they went different ways. And I was like, but they're both in charge of these very important legions of warriors. So I think they're doing okay. So I'm glad they came to this realization. Hylla continues that their destinies were made possible by the boy that they just called to be Praetor, Percy Jackson. So everybody cheers. Raina and Hylla raise their glasses and they call for Percy to come up. The crowd chants for a speech. Percy's at a loss for words. He tries to say that he's not the best choice for Praetor, but he's showered in applause that drowns out his protesting, making it clear that the people have spoken and they want him to be the Praetor.
And this whole vibe with how much they love Percy lasts exactly like 14 hours.
Well, I think the key is that everyone here who loves him is at the party.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know that the stuffy, gruffy senators are coming
That's
through
true,
for the
yeah.
teen party. Percy, huge hit with the kids. The
Yeah.
adults, I don't know.
I thought it was just going to be like every presidential approval rating in history where it starts super high and then like 2 weeks later they're like, we hate the president now.
Percy Jackson puts 100% tariffs on Greece. Got the first groan.
For context, we've recorded this on April 11th. Who knows what happens when this episode comes out? Will we still have the internet? Raina removes Percy's Probatio necklace and then Octavian, and I was like, oh, right, this guy exists. Damn it. I had forgotten about him, and life was bliss. He shoots Percy a dirty look, but then he smiles to the crowd because he has to put on a face, and he acts as if this was his idea the whole time. He rips open a teddy bear, and he proclaims good fortune for the coming year. Then he waves his hand over Percy's arm and announces that Percy has completed his first year of service, and Percy's Roman tattoos begin to form. There's a trident, there's SPQR, and then one stripe for his first year of service. And it definitely hurts, but Percy keeps his cool to try and not show the pain. And then Octavian embraces him and says, I hope it hurt. Octavian's a little freak. You want to talk about people being into stuff.
I was going to say,
He
this
should
is
find an
S&M
Amazonian.
This is truly S&M chapter. I love it. This reminded me, reading this, of a time when one of my Ultimate Frisbee teammates told us that he had a brand of the state of Texas on his buttocks, and he showed us, and it was the wildest thing I've ever seen
And
in
like
my life.
proper branding brand, not like a tattoo.
No, like a brand. Because I thought that was what was happening for a minute, and then I realized it was just a tattoo, and I was very relieved.
Did it look like a healthy brand? Like, was it properly sterilized, or was it like, hey, you got to get this checked out?
I didn't look that long.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as I'm asking this, I'm like, I am asking, how long did you stare at this guy's butt?
But he was in a Texas A&M fraternity, so I cannot imagine. I cannot imagine this was the cleanest brand.
No, not
in
at
the
all.
history of brands.
Not at all. Raina gives Percy an eagle medal and a purple cloak, which are symbols of being a praetor. And I was like, did we have an official process? Like, it seems like everyone's like, yeah, you're the praetor. And Percy was like, I'd rather not. And they're like, yeah, praetor, how's it going?
Democracy, schmocracy.
And then all I can say at this point with reading is I just knew it would be incredibly awkward whenever Jason did show up. I didn't know if that was going to be at the end of the book. I don't know if that was going to be at the beginning of the next book. But regardless, this is going to be Yikes Town. Hylla announces to Percy that she has decided not to kill him. Yay.
Love it. Always good.
Always good. Love that.
To know where people are with killing me.
Of course. I mean, look, genuinely, I would love sometimes after I hang out with people to be able to send them like a survey sheet to be like, was I weird? Was I fun to hang out with?
Are you going to kill me?
Did I? Last question. Do you want to kill me?
Yeah. And also 10% tip.
Oh, no. 15. But Percy gives his classic reply when someone says something wild to him, but is trying to be positive. He says, thanks, which love when he says, thanks.
Need thanks merch. We need thanks merch.
I always struggle with doing merch that is like directly a quote from the book because I would love to not have Disney in my inbox with like angry text. I would love positive text from Disney, like, would you like to be on the show? I do not want an email from Disney that's like, we have our lawyers involved.
When the mouse gets mad, the mouse gets mad.
Yeah, I don't want legal@disney.com. I want production@disney.com in the inbox. Narrator Percy says, quote, he made his way around the mess hall one more time because all the campers wanted him at their table. And you want to talk about a wedding? I wrote in my notes, he's in groom mode where you have to go from table to table. You got to take pictures. You got to talk to your parents' friends that they made you invite to the wedding because they're paying for it. And you don't know why this woman is here, but I guess she's your mom's friend. So that's why she gets to go to the wedding and not your friend that didn't make the cut. Anyway.
I think the single day I met the most people since the pandemic was my own wedding. Wild.
Just a bunch of people that you didn't know prior were
a bunch of people I had never met that were Anna Grace's mom's friends and Anna Grace's youth friends. It was wild. I met probably like 50 people the day of my wedding.
It's too many. Vitellius returns, which had me very excited. You will hear this in the future if you heard the show and in the podcast last night. I was like, where the hell is Vitellius? Here is Vitellius. He is bragging to everyone that he predicted Percy would become great. He claims he insisted that Percy must join the 5th cohort immediately, and that is a lie. That is not true at all. I don't remember exactly what he said, but I do not think he was super duper pro Percy Jackson from the jump. Now, Don the Fawn also shows up, and I already have a testy relationship with him. He comes in, makes like a little joke, asks for spare change. Don't love this. We'll move on. Percy Jackson is overwhelmed by all of the attention, but he loves that people are also giving a bunch of attention to Hazel and Frank. People are giving them their flowers, which I think is great. I'm glad that people recognize it was a full team effort and not just like Percy and friends.
Yeah, and like what good friend, this is the first time I've gotten to talk about it. Like I love this trio and the trio from the last book. Like just very great that like he's able to like keep creating good group pairings. Like I think that's really fun.
Yeah, especially, you got the first book, it's 3 new people. This one, we've got Percy, who we've already loved. And I guess for context, you are at the same point at me in the book. You read the first 2, like, to be able to do this run of Midwest shows. But you have not read it. Johnny, you're like into Trials of Apollo already or not?
A little bit. Okay. Very little bit. Like first one, like first 2 chapters. Yeah.
Yeah. So for you reading these 2 books like in pretty quick succession, how did it feel with the dynamics of like that trio versus the Son of Neptune trio, et cetera?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's all very like, I was wondering like, where do we go from here in a whole new series? And I think the whole like, here's 3 new characters in the world you know. Also, Percy's missing. And then with this one, complete twist where it's like, back to Percy. Forget about those last 3 people that you just met. And then there's this, and then you learn about the Romans. Like all of it was just like really cool, inventive ways. Like the whole split, like everything that he's done in these 2 books has really just shown like how good he is at world building off of just the basis of like Greek and Roman gods. Like it's very just fun that he's able to keep kind of turning the screw in a way that makes everything keep going nicely.
Just y'all wait.
Can't wait.
Trapdoor intact. The trio is being called the Saviors of Rome, and there's talk of reinstating Shenlin, Frank's great-grandfather, to the Legion's roll of honor. They now all believe that he was not the cause of the 1906 earthquake. Did we learn what the actual cause was, or do we just know that it wasn't him?
tectonic plate movements, perhaps.
Okay, yeah.
Bad luck.
So Tyson is eating a bunch of peanut butter sandwiches. Ella is perched by his shoulder eating a bunch of cinnamon rolls. They are being very cute and coupley. Love this pairing. After dinner, the Legion gets the night off, so they don't have to do any sort of, training and stuff. They're just relaxing. Percy and Frank and Hazel go into the city, which is still a bit of a wreck, but at least all of the fires are put out. And the citizens, and it wasn't until today that I realized, like people who live in a city. Citizens.
Oh.
Right?
I mean,
I don't know if that's like super duper common knowledge, but I was just like,
Did you know that, utter tuggers?
I'm glad I'm not the only person, because I was like, it's the first time that I was like, oh.
Maybe if you had read more children's books.
Maybe. But anyway, the citizens want to party first and clean up later, which I respect. It's not usually the best course of action, but I like that their heads are in the place of, we got a party. We'll deal with this.
Because you're going to have to clean up after the party,
right? Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it. This is like in a less extreme version. I'm a big fan of like doing all of the cleaning and stuff in the house before going to bed. Like I will stack up plates and bowls and stuff in the sink, but then before I go to sleep, I'm doing all the dishes. Kelly is more of a clean as you go person. So we had to have like a roommate meeting about it to be like, how do we address this? These things need to be cleaned as the day goes. This can be at the end of the day kind of thing. And we got there, but I can understand. Now at the oh my God, it is the Pomerian line. My autocorrect keeps changing it to the Pomeranian line.
Not your brain. Not your brain.
Last night it was my brain.
Shows up. How cute would the Pomeranian line be?
The fluffiest fence you've ever seen. This time it was my notes app autocorrecting. At the Pomerian line, the statue of Terminus is wearing a party hat. He addresses Percy as Praetor and says that if he needs any other giants' faces smashed in while he's around, just let him know.
did they put him back together?
So my understanding, and maybe I'm wrong, is I think there's a bunch of statues of him around the border, and then his ghostly kind of spirit like brings it to life. Okay. My guess was that this is just one of the not broken ones, but I was wondering the exact same thing when I read this.
Yeah,
it's like how all the Ultrons are Ultron, right? They're not like Ultron.
Because I was like, are they just like carrying like the head around and like, here he is?
Yeah, it's like super glued back together. Or
Humpty
they
Dumpty
could do,
style,
what's the Japanese thing where like when stuff is broken, but you use like the gold, whatever, and it like one person. Kintsugi, thank you very much. But like that, he's like the strongest Terminus now, where he's stronger than he was before. So he has a party hat on. He's, saying he could smash people's heads in. And then he informs Percy that his Praetor's cape is 1 inch a little off to the left. And then he asks where his assistant is and calls out for Julia. And I forgot about Julia. I was so happy for cute little Julia to come back into the mix. She runs up. Her hair is still in pigtails. She smiles. Percy can see that her front teeth are starting to come in, which is adorable. She has a box of party hats, which is also so cute. And Percy wants to decline, but he looks at her cute eyes and he goes, okay, I'll take a hat. He takes a blue crown because of course he does. And then she gives Hazel a gold pirate hat and tells her that she's going to be Percy Jackson when she grows up. Oh, my heartstrings. Oh, it's so cute. Hazel says that being Percy Jackson is a good thing to be, and then Frank picks up a hat that looks like a polar bear's head, and he says, well, being Frank Zhang would be good too. And then Hazel goes, Frank!
What are we doing, Frank? It's not about you. She didn't say I want to be Frank. She said I want to be Percy. Not everything's about you. I love Frank. This was a huge miss on Frank's part.
I think with a lot of Frank lines, I'm starting to see like the tone is very important because you can take it one way or the other. Kelly and I had this debate in an episode that came out recently where he did the kiss on the cheek thing when Hazel kisses Percy on the cheek and he goes, where's my kiss? And I thought he was being like, can I have a kiss too? And Kelly thought he was being cute, like, oh, can I have a kiss too? And I put a poll on Spotify and it was 4852, like with hundreds of answers. So we really need like stage direction for Frank. Like Frank with sarcasm, like Frank being a good sport about it.
Stage left, yeah.
Exits in a hump, yeah, like exits as a bear, yeah. Yes. So they head into the forum, which is adorned in colored lanterns. The fountain is glowing purple. There's lots of people grabbing drinks at cafes. There's street musicians playing, and there's all these different instruments. But there are also people making armpit noises. And Percy's like, no, yeah, that must be an old Roman thing. Sure, yeah. Iris is also in party mode. She's making rainbows appear in the sky, and then she is also making cupcake simulations rain down from the sky, which Percy thinks would either make cleaning up harder or rebuilding the city easier. And then, in case you are a child reading this book and not an adult, there's a follow-up sentence: the cupcakes would make great bricks. And I do wonder if Rick wrote the first line and then an editor was like, it is a book for children. Explain the joke.
And then another one that said, bricks are hard and good for building. Therefore, the cupcakes would be good for building because they are like bricks, which are hard.
And then another editor who writes, get it? Get it?
Yeah.
Percy strolls around with Hazel and Frank for a little bit until he notices them brushing shoulders a little bit. So he fakes a yawn in ultimate wingman mode and goes, oh, I'm so tired. I should probably go back to bed. You two go on. And narrator Percy says Hazel and Frank protested, but Percy could tell they wanted some time alone. And I want to know how intense the protest was. Because was it a, oh no, are you sure, man? Oh yeah, you did a lot today. You should probably get some sleep.
Yeah. I love their whole like figuring it out kind of moments here.
It's really adorable.
Yeah.
And it feels genuine, like what a teenager, like cute kind of, oh, I like you, do you like me, like kind of thing. And
Yeah.
it makes sense that Rick, who was a teacher of teens for a while, would do a proper job of writing teens, because you'll see other younger adult books, like when I was reading Harry Potter and like things get, they talk like adults a lot of the books.
Yeah.
So to see kids acting like kids,
Yeah.
is nice.
And I think the next thing is like Percy wondering if they have started dating.
Right.
Which is such a teenage way of thinking about it.
100%.
Because it's like they just finished the quest 30 minutes ago. And he's like, I wonder if they started dating. I was like, they haven't had time to go on a date.
What was
like,
fun?
it's just like, no. Like, but yes.
Well, I had the exact same thought because the text says something to the effect of like, Percy wondered if they were dating now.
Yeah.
Like it
exactly.
didn't even say like they started dating, but like that's exactly it. Like when I was in middle school or high school, it was like, oh yeah, meet a girl at the school dance and then like call her the next day and be like, do you want to be my girlfriend? Like
we
not
are dating now.
Do you want to go on one date? It's like, no, we hung out for an hour and a half in a dark room and we just danced and maybe talked for like 5 sentences. You're my girlfriend now.
Yeah,
Like just
it's such a perfect way to be like, that's what they think.
And dating meant they were boyfriend and girlfriend and
Correct.
not going on dates.
Correct. When you're a young teen, like that's exactly what it means. Yeah, it's wild.
I commend
Jeez.
Percy for his ability to read the room here as
Yeah.
someone who was frequently a third wheel and didn't know it.
You?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Oh, that's
Imagine if it
unfortunate.
said like, and then Percy wondered if they've entered their situationship phase.
Skibbity toilet or whatever.
Percy
Yeah.
wondered if the soft launch was coming soon. Yeah. Now, on his way back to camp, Percy sees Mrs. O'Leary and Hannibal playing, and I was like, another new couple? But no, the Mrs. O'Leary's just hyped that she finally has. Look, we got Tyson and Ella. We've got a lot of strange pairings going on. Are we getting the elephant and the big hellhound?
strange pairing.
I'll come back for the second act. That did me in.
Mrs. O'Leary's just very excited that she finally has a play partner that she can roughhouse with and be as rough as she wants to be. And-
Roughhouse.
oh God, we move on. Percy then gets to the gates and he gazes across the valley and he thinks that it wasn't long ago that he was here with Hazel getting his first look at the camp. Now he's focused more on the east as he's hoping that his friends from Camp Half-Blood will come. They should be arriving soon, either tomorrow or the next day. And of course he cares deeply for all of his friends at Camp Jupiter, but he cannot wait to see Annabeth again. And I just wrote in my notes that the first seaweed brain is going to hit so hard. That's going to be real good whenever Annabeth drops it. I hope it's a happy one and not her being upset. My guess would be it would be kind of like the fake anger, but then they embrace kind of like, where have you been, seaweed brain? Like that's my guess for what her energy will be like, but I don't know.
Like when Zendaya slaps Paul Atreides when he wakes up from his worm juice drinking in Dune 2, and then she's like, I missed you so much. Like, yeah.
Yep, it's good stuff. Narrator Percy says, quote, he yearned for his old life, New York and Camp Half-Blood, but something told him it might be a while before he returned home. Gia and the Giants weren't done causing trouble, not by a long shot. And I wrote, yeah, not for at least 3 more books. Raina gives Percy the second Praetor's house, but once Percy goes inside, he knows that he cannot stay because it is filled with Jason stuff. And he's like, Like, he already feels bad about taking his title. He's like, I'm not going to take this dude's house as well. So he just ends up going back and sleeping in his bunk with the 5th cohort because he recognizes things are already going to be really awkward already. I don't need to make it next level awkward to be like, I've been sleeping in your bed.
So, filled with Jason's stuff, what is Jason's stuff? Like his football trophies?
Yeah, I mean, if we establish him as super American, it's got to be, you know, an Xbox 360 and football stuff.
Coca-Cola. Yeah.
Oh, an American flag taped on the wall, but not framed, because he's still just a teen.
A Chevy in the driveway.
Yeah. A poster of Bruce Springsteen, that Scarface poster that everybody had in college.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is this right around the Boondock Saints period? I feel like maybe Boondock.
Yeah.
That might be a little old for him.
Right.
Yeah,
but he could have a
college
Godfather poster, even though he hasn't seen The Godfather yet, except for when his dad watched it a couple of times and it would be on TNT, but just there'd be all the commercials and stuff.
I also like that they just like I know they want to get sad, but like this room has been abandoned for some time.
Yeah.
Like no one at least like boxed the stuff up and put it like in a corner of the room. Like maybe he'll come back, but until we get a new printer, I'll just let it slide for now. It's just like no one just like managed to be like, we should probably start taking
Did they
care
dust? You think they dusted?
I think they just kind of ignored it. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess because of the hope that he wasn't dead, like it feels wrong. But it is weird that they wouldn't clean up this stuff, but then they are like, you can sleep there, Percy. To do one but not the other does seem a little strange.
Yeah.
So Percy, because he falls asleep right away, I was thinking, ooh, dream time, and it is dream time. So narrator Percy opens the dream with, quote, he dreamed he was carrying Juno across the little Tiber. And I'm excited because dream stuff, gonna be moving around the plot here. Juno is dressed
You know who else is excited? Chiron.
Juno is dressed as she was when Percy carried her originally in the beginning of the book, and she asks Percy if he still wants to slap her. And I wrote, yes, oops, upside the head, like he said in the previous chapter. Narrator Percy says, Percy stopped midstream when I told you I was at this point on the book.
I was like, what? He was peeing and like sucked it back. I thought that's what. Yeah, I really thought that's what it was.
Percy stops midstream in the Tiber. And
that's hard, by the way.
He just lets Juno go, dumps her in the river. It says, he let go and dumped the goddess in the river. The moment she hit the water, she vanished and reappeared on the shore. Oh my, she cackled. That wasn't very heroic, even in a dream. Percy asks why she would steal 8 months of his life for a quest that took just 8 weeks. And then I wrote, because we needed a sequel, Percy Jackson. It had to happen.
It couldn't be like the Song of Ice and Fire books 4 and 5, which are sequels but happen concurrently. We couldn't have that.
Oh, yeah. The White Walkers.
Yeah, and the Red Wedding. Yeah.
Winter's coming.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know nothing,
Oh,
Mike Schubert.
Mother of Dragons. Yeah.
Yeah. Khaleesi, baby.
Jason Momoa. So,
Hubba hubba.
Juno Tuts, which is the worst onomatopoeia that you can make. So kind of tut tut tut. The worst. I hate it.
But such a God thing to do. Such a God thing to do.
Every time I say I hate Juno, it's perfect. Like, she is just perfectly crafted as a hateable character. Like, Rick knows exactly what he is doing. She is absolutely the worst, and that's what makes her fantastic. Just like in Hades, video game, when you fight, is it Theseus?
It is Theseus.
Yeah. Theseus, yeah. Like, he is so rage-inducing. But that is perfect, because then you fight Theseus, and then when you beat him, you're twice as happy because he's such a jerk.
It took you forever.
No.
Yeah.
It took a lot of people forever.
Yeah. You're
Thanks,
good.
guys.
It's a tough game.
Thanks, guys.
We're here for you. So, Juno Tuts, awful. She says that mortals are so precious about their short lives. Yeah, because mortals die, Juno. That's why. I love that every other god, earlier even in this book, gods are telling their demigod children, oh, it's so great that you cherish your time and, you know, you don't recognize that dying is like such a benefit for you to actually like really care about your time spent on Earth. And Juno's like, what's 8 months? I was once asleep for 8 centuries. Just, the worst. It's like when old people complain about like how rough they had it back in the day and they're like, oh, I had to work and like commute uphill in the snow both ways. It's like, yeah, and you could also buy houses in the Sears catalog. So like, don't talk to me.
for $2,000 in nickels.
Right, like they paid you to buy a house.
Yeah.
I gotta like do everything in my power and then also have cash so that I can like beat the other people who are ready to, oh God, the worst. Or on a semi-related note, when like grandparents or like older people will complain like, you know, me and Kelly are trying to be very protective of the little one and do all these things to like make her have a perfect little baby growing up childhood. And people are like, oh, we never did this back in the day. Like, and we didn't have all this like technology you did. It's like, yeah, and child mortality rates were through the roof. So what are you talking about? It's wild. So I really was so furious reading Hera talk about this. Like 8 months is not a huge significant amount of time. I've been reading this book for 8 months.
Aforementioned 0.25 speed. Although that's more like 0.05 speed, I think.
0.000, yeah. Percy summons the river and powers the water to swirl around him. And Juno says, no, don't get testy. And she explains that the plan that she had, all of her plans must be perfectly timed. Step 1 was that Jason and his friends had to free her from her prison. And Percy responds, you were in prison and they let you out? Amazing. I love him. She credits it to her being a sweet old woman. And gosh, she's so perfectly hateable. I hate her, but I love her. She says that it's all fine because Percy wasn't needed at Camp Jupiter until right now. And the 8 months in between, she says, well, I have other plans brewing. And I hate that a lot because I want to know what's going on. Hera then says, quote, opposing Gia, working behind Jupiter's back, protecting your friends, it's a full-time job. If I had to guard you from Gia's monsters and schemes as well, and keep you hidden from your friends back east all that time, no, much better you take a safe nap. You would have been a distraction, a loose cannon. And then Percy repeats, distraction and loose cannon. And as he gets angrier and angrier, the water around him speeds up and rises higher and higher and gets more and more intense. And Juno goes, exactly, I'm glad you understand. And Percy shoots a big wave of water at him.
I just love that she called him a loose cannon because that's what they call the rookie cop in like 2000s cop movies. Like, you're a loose cannon, Schubert, but you get results. I don't like your methods, but gosh dang if you don't get answers.
I will say I like her a lot in this scene, like genuinely, not just hate like her, because I just think it's fun to troll a teenager.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, yeah, you missed a bit of being 15 or however old he is in this book. It's just like, it's not that big of a deal. Things get better. Things get more interesting. You took a long nap.
And also because what happens, he hits her with this wave, she just kind of vanishes and reappears. She can definitely toy around with him because like he can't kill her. Like she's going to be totally fine. So, you know, she doesn't have to be worried about her safety. Hera says, you're in a bad mood. But you know I'm right. Your timing here was perfect. They trust you now. You are a hero of Rome. And while you slept, Jason Grace has learned to trust the Greeks. They've had time to build the Argo too. Together, you and Jason will unite the camps. And it's one of the most clear examples of you have to hand it to her. Like, yeah, again, like, it's frustrating, but just like the rookie cop who's a loose cannon, she gets her results. Like, everything did work. She was absolutely cooking, and they're in a great spot right now.
I love me the trope of the puppet master pulling the strings that you didn't know was pulling the strings all along, and then you look, yeah, this is great.
It's fun. Percy asks, why me? Why would you want a loose cannon that you don't even like on your team to save the world?
You get results.
Yeah. She answers that it's because she knows him. Though Percy is impulsive, he's very predictable when it comes to his friends. He is unwaveringly loyal, and he inspires loyalty as well, so he will be the glue that holds the seven together and unites them. And I wrote him a note, Percy's not going to like being compared to glue. And then in the next line he goes, great, I always wanted to be glue.
You're out of line, Jackson. Hand in your badge and gun.
This was a 2011-2012 release. So I think this is before being a glue guy in the NBA was like
yes.
I feel like Draymond Green on the Golden State Warriors really made that like a desirable thing to be, where it's like, or even Manu Ginobili on the Spurs, where it's like, you know, you don't see it on the stat sheet, but like he's the unifying force.
You know, those players, sports fans.
Wait. Is this not a horse joke?
No, not like horse glue. No,
but like, is it Poseidon? Like,
yo,
because he's the god of horses.
Whoa,
and horses are glue.
Does that make him the god of glue?
I do not think Rick was going for that, but like if
that's how I took it. That's why I took it as such an insult.
That's great. That's awesome. Wow. This is why you have two guests, so nothing's getting through us. That's great. That's really fun. No,
Blue guy right here.
Blue guy holding it together.
All
Juno.
that sniffing finally pays off.
Remember the like clear blue Elmer's glue that came out when we were in like
That
fourth
stuff
grade?
did not work.
It did not work as well, but it was blue, so you had to get it.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, the blue glue stick always worked way better than the white glue stick. It was like thicker, and the orange thing you twist it up, like it was like bluish purpley, and it always worked way better.
This is a really hard yes ad, just so you know.
But then when it got even further, and then you got rubber cement with the little brush.
And then you learn what Gorilla Glue is, and you're off to the races.
That's for adults. That's for adults. Juno proclaims that the Heroes of Olympus, and I was like, ugh.
That's the name of
It's the thing. The Heroes of Olympus, yeah, she looks to the camera. The Heroes of Olympus must unite. She worries that Jupiter's confidence was hit after the Battle of Manhattan, and Percy goes, yeah, because I was right and he was wrong. A+. Hera says that he should be used to that, quote, after so many eons married to me, but alas. And she says that her proud and obstinate husband, which of course made me think of, isn't it in Pride and Prejudice where they call Elizabeth a strong, obstinate girl or a obstinate, headstrong girl? Yes, thank you, cool. I just see obstinate and I'm just like, you know what I should reread? Pride and Prejudice.
Wait, is that like a thing? Is that like a common?
It's
like-
one of the quotes that gets like said a lot. Let me just
Okay,
like.
okay.
Pride and Prejudice. This is hard with one hand. Obstinate, and I bet it'll come up. It's like the other one where it's like, oh, I'm 26 and I have no like prospects.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. In Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, Lady Catherine de Bourgh, also the worst, famously calls Elizabeth Bennet, quote, obstinate, headstrong girl. Oh, and then Google continues. This epithet is a key element in the story, highlighting Elizabhe's defiance of social conventions and her refusal to submit to Lady Catherine de Bourgh's authority. It also reveals Lady Catherine's own pride and prejudices. Oh, Google!
The Heroes of Olympus.
As she uses this label to dismiss Elizabeth's character and motivations. Great. Anyway, Percy Jackson. Or we could just talk about Pride and Prejudice. There's that new one that's getting written and adapted for Netflix. Come on. Anyway, though, Percy Jackson, I promise. She says that her proud and obstinate husband will not ask for the aid of mere demigods again. He thinks that they're not needed, but Hera knows better. She thinks that the only way to prove themselves, the demigods, is to close the doors of death themselves. And I was like, okay, that's how book 3 is like kind of side questy, and then we'll get back to the big war and stuff in books 4 and 5. She says that it will be the greatest quest since Aeneas sailed from Troy, and that made me wonder, I wonder if one of the future books will be a Troy-Aeneas parallel, kind of like the Sea of Monsters is very much like a Jason and the Argonauts parallel. So, the Odyssey, yes. So, Percy asks what happens if the Greeks and the Romans fail to get along, and Hera says, then Gia has already won. She warns him that the one who is closest to him and hates her the most will cause the most trouble, and Percy realizes that this is a very verbose way to say Annabeth. He is very upset that Hera would call Annabeth a troublemaker, and he says that she doesn't know the first thing about Annabeth, and he just thinks like he wants Annabeth watching his back and says like, I want her looking out for me. She's definitely going to be a part of this quest. Hera says that Annabeth has a tall task ahead of her in Rome, and she is unsure if Annabeth is up for it. And narrator Percy says, quote, Percy summoned a fist of water and smashed it at the old lady. When the wave receded, she was gone. The river swirled out of Percy's control. He sank into the darkness of the whirlpool. And I was wondering, I was like, is this the end of the dream? It's the end of the chapter. I was like, is this the end of the dream? Or is it the thing where like something bad happens and now it's like Gia's taking over the dream and the next chapter is like, Percy! So I was wondering if like Gia was going to be what happens next, but that is the end of chapter 51, which I have retitled I Dump a Goddess. Do either of you, thank you, do either of you have retitlings for chapter 51?
To quote our boy Octavian, I hope it hurts.
I hope it hurts is good. I mean, there could be something with like, I'm not a horse.
I'm not glue.
I'm not glue guy.
Yeah, glue guy.
Yes. So if you are listening to the podcast, we're going to take a break here. I guess the last Son of Fortune. Ooh. So let's all say goodbye to the podcast people. Good.
Hello, Hello and welcome to the Son of Fortune, the final Son of Fortune, which is absolutely wild. And this is a very special edition of the Son of Fortune, not just because it is the last one, but also because it is Swiss sauna edition of the Son of Fortune. That's right, I'm recording this from the sauna that is in the backyard of the place we're staying. And I'm not actually in the hot room, I'm in the room outside the hot room, I guess where you change and stuff. I'm not well versed in saunas, but I knew that this would be the best place to record the mid-roll breaks, not just because of the vibes, which are off the charts, but also because of the acoustics. It's a bunch of dense wood, so it's reducing the echo. Fantastic stuff. So let's get into updates with the show. First and foremost, it's quite clear I'm here in Switzerland, and I've got shows coming up this weekend, if you're listening to this episode, the week that it comes out. We've got a TNO show this coming Sunday, May 25th, in Zurich at noon, and then there's also a Potterless show the night before, that's Saturday, May 24th at 6 p.m. So the TNO show is, I believe, covering chapters 11 and 12 of Mark of Athena. I'll make a social media post this week confirming. And then the Potterless show is going to be about all the different European translations of Harry Potter and some of the changes that they made for proper nouns or just other differences between the different language versions of the books. If you want to get tickets to those shows, head on over to thenewestolympian.com/live. Both shows are at Frame, which is a movie theater in Zurich, and I'm really excited about the shows. And I'm going to be giving out free stuff to people who attend. I'll be giving extra free stuff to folks who come from a different country. So if you're going to take the train in or the plane in from somewhere else, you will be rewarded. This is the only show I'm doing in Europe this year, potentially next year. I have no idea when I'll be able to come back. So if you are somewhat close by, maybe make the trek. I know it's like really far, but I'm just letting you know, because sometimes people are like, oh, let me know when you're here again. I don't know when that will be. So if you want to come through. It's going to be an absolute blast. Now, as far as updates for everybody, as mentioned in the lead up to this mid-roll break, you can watch the stream of the first two chapters of Mark of Athena that we did on this tour in Des Moines, Iowa. So you can go to the Patreon shop. So just go to thenewestolympian.com/Patreon, go to the Patreon, there's a shop portion, and that is where you can get the full high definition multicam shot replay of the stream. So you can watch that if you don't want to wait before we get into Mark of Athena, because there are going to be episodes coming out before we get to Mark of Athena covering myths in Son of Neptune, and then also the stories in the Demigod Diaries. So that's 5 episodes worth of stuff. So if you can't wait 5+ weeks for Tino's coverage of Mark of Athena, you don't have to. You can listen to what we did, and you can watch what we did for the first 2 chapters by going to thenewestolympian.com/Patreon and buying a download of the stream. And if you already bought stream tickets this week, I will be sending you an email with a download link so that you also will have this. You don't have to pay any extra money. You're all good. In other news, there are other live shows that I recently announced. I'm going to be in Pittsburgh, in Providence, in St. Louis, and in Kansas City. So if you want to see information about that, go to thenewestolympian.com/live. I'll also be at Enchanticon from August 15th through 17th, which is also in St. Louis, doing some TNO stuff, doing some Potterless stuff. Gonna be a fun time. Now, if you're all caught up on the Newest Olympian and you're looking for some new content to consume, you are in luck, because I make a whole bunch of content. I think you would like that content. And one thing that I think you would enjoy is a little scripted show that I made with a wonderful team called Modern Muckraker. Very different from the vibes of Potterless and TNO, but really fun, very funny. I got to play a character. It was a scripted show. We made a show that feels like a high quality news podcast, like from an NPR or a reputable newspaper or something like that. But the questions we answered are really silly things, such as how many IHOP locations can you visit and eat free pancakes at during one National Free Pancake Day? Interviewed highly overqualified people, did a whole bunch of research. It was a blast and a half, and you can listen to all 4 episodes by searching for Modern Muckraker or by going to our website, modernmuck.com. Now, unless you're listening on Patreon, where you get access to ad-free episodes, you're going to hear words from a few sponsors who make it feasible for me to be a full-time podcaster. Some of those ads will be read by me, such as by our ongoing sponsors, Quince, who make great clothes, and Headspace, who have a great meditation app. And then other ads won't be read by me. Those are locally inserted. So if you live in Switzerland, don't be surprised if you hear an ad in German. But German that I've learned is pronounced differently than Germany German. And I will have to get into this at the TNO Live show in Switzerland, because I find this fascinating. But once those ads are complete, we'll get back into this episode of the Newest Olympian.
Hope everybody had a good intermission. I missed you all so dearly.
Welcome back to Pride and Prejudice-less.
Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah.
All right. let's get right into it because chapter 52 is chunky. We want to get through it so that we can do Q&A and stuff and that we don't get kicked out of this venue. All right, chapter 52. Percy. We're going to retitle it. It begins with, quote, "The next morning, Percy, Hazel, and Frank ate breakfast early, then headed into the city before the Senate was due to convene. Very much a matter of fact, this is what is happening opening, not one of those cool opening sentences. Percy basically has a free pass to do whatever he wants now that he's Praetor, which is pretty cool. And they are walking by. They pass some of their friends sleeping. They pass people cleaning. The citizens are cleaning up the town. The engineers are making a new arch that will commemorate the win over Polybites, which I think is very fun.
Big fan of arches
Love
as a
an
St.
arch.
Louisan.
Hazel says that she also heard that there will be a formal triumph, a parade, followed by a week of games to celebrate them. But Percy knows, I've been through 6 now of these books before. This is not happening. We will not have time to celebrate.
But in the other ones, they have a whole summer in between. So he could think that there is time for this because previously he's had a whole summer in between books, which is how his life works.
Sure, but now he's old enough where they don't have cool summer breaks anymore. He's
Just like us.
yeah. So Percy thinks, all right, we're just going to have to get right to it. But okay, he recounts his Juno dream to the others, and Hazel says that the gods must have been busy last night and calls for Frank to, quote, show him. Frank reaches into his pocket, and Percy thinks he's going to grab his firewood stick, but he takes out a paperback book and a note on red paper. Frank says they were left on his pillow like the Tooth Fairy had visited him or something. The book is The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Percy's unfamiliar with it. I'm also unfamiliar with it. Is that a real book?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry I missed the required reading for class.
And you know who loves to quote it? Finance bros.
Oh, so this book sucks.
It's the worst. They're like, you got to know your enemy like you know yourself, bruh. I'm like, oh my God.
This is the thing that really like sunk Frank's mom for me. I was like, "Oh, that's your favorite book? That's your favorite book?"
Okay.
Like, I've never read it, but like I've heard it's good. It's a historical thing about war in China, I think.
By book 5, Frank's going to be on a Bluetooth headset being like, buy it, sell it, short it.
Frank 100% gets into NFTs.
The note makes it clear who sent it because it says, quote, "Good job, kid. A real man's best weapon is his mind. This was your mom's favorite book. Give it a read. P.S. I hope your friend Percy has learned some respect for me." And I like Mars. I've been very much on record. I think Mars is good. For him to say the strongest weapon is the mind is certainly not something Ares would say. And I like that Mars brought it up. And Percy has a great line where he goes, wow, maybe Mars is different than Ares. I don't think Ares can read.
Got him.
Oh, he's so good at trash talk. I respect Percy Jackson so much.
Have you talked about this in previous episodes? Do you think if they continue on making the show that they have Adam Edge Copeland continue to play Mars? Because I don't think he could do this.
I think he can because seeing him in the show, he is a very talented actor.
Okay.
But I have never seen him not be angry.
Yeah.
So,
And I've watched a lot of WWE, and I've never seen him be not terrible.
like not terrible at acting, or
No, like terrible as like a character. Like he's
yeah,
always that kind of guy. So I
Yeah.
don't know if he can play the stoic warlord type.
I'm not sure. I also think if they do adapt this, that they will go the animation route because that would allow them to still have some of the same actors. It's very like the Scott Pilgrim reboot thing where, Michael Cera's like 40 something now, and that's strange because he still looks like he's 12, but...
And not like the Evan Hansen movie where Ben Platt is 50.
I forgot about that.
You're welcome.
But if they go an animation route, people can voice act, and you can still have Walker be Percy without him being, looking like he's not Percy anymore. So that would be my thought. But I don't know. Maybe Edge can make it happen. Frank explains that the book has a lot about sacrifice in it, and Frank thought that all of this talk about sacrifice that Mars was giving to him would be in regards to freeing Thanatos, but now he's thinking, oh man, maybe the worst is yet to come. Ugh. And that's what I'm thinking as well. Narrator Percy says, quote, "He glanced nervously at Percy, and Percy got the feeling Frank wasn't telling him everything. He wondered if Mars had said something about him him, but Percy wasn't sure he wanted to know. And yeah, Mars said something ominous about Percy not being up to the task of like having to make some tough choice, and I'm not exactly sure. My guess was that it's going to have to be some sort of like, you got to choose between someone to make a sacrifice and Percy won't be able to do it, and then someone will like take themselves out of the equation.
What gives you that idea?
Let's see Percy Jackson wiggle out of this one. Percy Jackson wiggles it out.
Percy thinks that Frank has already sacrificed enough with his mom, his grandma, his family home. So he tells Frank, like, all this talk of sacrifice, you've already sacrificed so much. Percy then notices that Hazel and Frank are less nervous around each other after this morning. So he wonders if they have begun dating now. He hopes so, because he thinks that they'd be very cute together, but he recognizes that asking them is not the right call. Correct. There is not a good situation coming out of it. Like, it's one of the best case scenarios. They go, yes. And the worst case scenario is they'll never date, because what if the answer doesn't work
Or
out?
one of them says yes and the other one says no at the same time.
Yeah, that falls under they'll never date.
Frank definitely the one saying yes. Hazel definitely the one saying no.
Yeah, 100%.
Is this the first time like Percy Jackson's really like nailed dealing with a romantic situation? Like really,
Yeah.
Like
well,
a wingmanning?
Yeah.
The key is that he's not involved
Right,
in it.
yeah.
I think he can recognize, because he's always been really good and empathetic with friends and other people and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that is kind of falling under that. He is never one to be smooth in his own situation.
course,
So I think because
yeah.
it's happening to other people, he recognizes
Yeah.
it, but he doesn't have the next level of foresight to be like, oh, the things I think about other people's relationships, maybe I could apply to
My own.
Percy asks Hazel if she's heard from Pluto. She gets nervous. Diamonds appear at her feet. This always happens to us when we get nervous. And she says no, but she thinks that his message came to her through Thanatos by keeping her off the list, which her name should have been on the list. She shouldn't be here. Percy asks Hazel if she thinks that her dad is giving her a pass, and she explains that Pluto can't visit or talk to her without acknowledging that she's alive, which would mean that he would have to enforce the laws of death. So if he does directly address her, she might not be around anymore.
This is pretty like adept logic from a like 12, 13-year-old, whatever Hazel is, or I guess 70.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah.
she's either 13
Yeah.
or 83.
Yeah.
So I agree. It's very wise of her to recognize this. And, my current state of math, I don't think all 7 are making it out of this book alive. Too many heroes for one of them to not be. But I'm worried about Frank. Johnny checks for the trapdoor. I'm worried about Frank. I'm worried about Hazel. I'm worried about Frank because of all the people keep talking about his life burning bright and short and quick and stuff. But with Hazel, now we have if she dies, we don't feel bad sentimental thing, because if she dies, then we get to go, well, at least she gets to talk to her dad now. So there's like the easy out of, oh, but it's okay. So I'm worried about Hazel as well.
Indeed.
She thinks that Pluto wants her to find Nico, and Percy promises that they will find him. He says that they will sail for Rome as soon as the ship arrives. Hazel and Frank then exchange uneasy looks, so Percy knows that they've talked about this already. Frank asks Percy if he really wants to bring the two of them along, because he probably has all these other friends that he can bring on the quest. Do you really want to bring us? And I wrote, are you kidding me, Frank? And then Percy goes, quote, are you kidding? You think I'd leave my team behind after surviving Fleecy's wheat germ, running from cannibals, and hiding under blue giant butts in Alaska? Come on.
Blue giant butts.
Is that the minor league team here in Milwaukee? Yeah.
The Milwaukee Blue Giant Butts. Yeah.
It's the farm league.
No, just the baseball team. But
That's the baseball team.
baseball
here.
team.
Yeah.
It's a perfect choice of 3 things for Percy here, because it breaks the tension. They all start laughing. They're cracking up. Percy wonders if they're cracking up a little too much, but just thinks it's a relief to be alive. Quote, with the warm sun shining and not worrying, at least for the moment, about sinister faces appearing in the shadows of the hills. So Hazel takes a deep breath and then asks Percy if he knows what the prophecy Ella gave, the one about Mark of Athena burning through Rome, what that's all about. And Percy goes, yeah, it's the next book in the series. He thinks to Hera warning that Annabeth has a tough task ahead and that she's going to cause trouble for the quest. So Percy just says, I'm not sure, even though he does have an inkling, but he's not lying. But he thinks that there's more to the prophecy, so he hopes Ella can remember the rest of it. Frank says that they should take Ella with them because if Octavian finds out that she has the Sibylline books memorized, that could be really bad news. Percy shudders at the thought because Octavian uses prophecies to keep power at camp, and now since he can't be praetor to have have power. Percy's afraid that Octavian's going to try and influence the camp through other means, so he's worried about Ella as well falling into the wrong hands. Nice, very good. Thank you very much. Percy says that Frank is right. He says that he hopes they can convince her to join, but then he is interrupted by Tyson, who is running across with Ella behind him with a scroll in her talons. And she drops it in Percy's lap and says that it's a special delivery from a wind spirit. Tyson says, "Good morning, brothers." And he has peanut butter all in his teeth. He has hay in his hair from where he slept. And he says that the scroll is from Leo, who is funny and small.
I love that Tyson says "Good morning, brothers," immediately putting Frank and Percy on equal footing in his eye.
It's so good. It's
so good.
Pure.
He's the best.
Truly
He's
the best.
So good.
Yeah.
He's just pure.
So pure, so pure. Narrator Percy says, quote, "The scroll looked unremarkable, but when Percy spread it across his lap, a video recording flickered on the parchment. A kid in Greek armor grinned up at them. He had an impish face, curly black hair, and wild eyes, like he just had several cups of coffee. He was sitting in a dark room with timber walls like a ship's cabin. Oil lamps swung back and forth on the ceiling." Hazel fights back a scream, and Frank asks what's wrong, and we'll soon learn.
When he was reading this earlier on the train today from Minneapolis, I was like, I'm going to have to film this part.
Yeah, so we'll maybe put something up on the social media or something when the episode is coming out on the podcast feed. Percy realizes that the face looks familiar, and not just from his dreams, but like he's seen it in an old photo. And I remembered that Percy's only seen one old photograph this book, and that's of Sammy. So I wrote Sammy with 7 question marks in my notes. Leo welcomes them. He begins to introduce himself, but realizes he doesn't have a title, so he asks Piper off screen, "What's my title?" And she says, "Repair Boy." And he goes, "Very funny," and then decides to be the supreme commander of the Argo II. He says they'll be sailing toward them in about an hour, and he humbly requests that they not blow them out of the sky. He signs off with, "See you soon, yours in demigoddishness and all that. Peace out." Very Leo. Very, very, very Leo. Hazel says, "It can't be," and Frank asks if she knows him, and narrator Percy says, quote, "Hazel looked like she'd seen a ghost." Percy understood why. He remembered the photo in Hazel's abandoned house in Seward. The kid on the warship looked exactly like Hazel's old boyfriend. Oh. Hazel says that he is Sammy Valdez, but she has no idea how. And then I wrote in my notes, "Oh no, another love triangle. Ah!
So
There's so many in this book series."
So do you have any idea how? What's going on here? Mr. hasn't read past this chapter.
I would have to go back to the Leo flashback chapters to see if there was like something weird about his childhood, because we got the Tia Kaida stuff. So I don't know if there's some weird thing about like, because I feel like it started when he was just like a toddler. So if it's him like time traveling, like it wouldn't make sense because he's been young. I don't know if it's a Sora Kingdom Hearts thing where like, yeah, Sammy died, but then part of his heart was saved, so his soul went away, and then you have the soul coming back, and Sora's heart is felt safe, and then you gotta worry about Roxas, and then you gotta figure out what's going on with Ventus, and he looks the same as Roxas, but it's because it's the same heart. Yeah, so I don't know if that...
How did you know?
Percy Jackson and the 365 divided by 1.2.
Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, my gosh. So his name is Leo, and his is Sammy Valdez. Like, I would, but then Leo's dad is Hephaestus, so it's not like Sammy's his dad. So I guess the simplest guess would just be that Sammy would have to be related to Leo's mom. So if it's like 70 years, like maybe Sammy
I'm getting more confused.
I would just, the simplest guess, which it's probably not going to be, is that Sammy is Leo's maternal grandmother. So his mom's dad.
Mother?
Yes. Yeah, let's get weird. His maternal grandfather. So my guess is that Sammy was Leo's grandpa. And then he just looks strikingly like his grandfather. Do you have a guess, Mr.
I didn't. No, I was so not expecting this to be revealed in this book. This felt like a book 4 reveal to me that I was like, just like, oh, it's happening now. That I definitely didn't even consider grandfather or grandmother.
Gotta keep guessing.
And so, yeah, I assume it was just some godly shenanigans.
Sure.
But that makes some sense.
Yeah, I agree. There's probably either godly shenanigans at play or just like the most normal mortal answer of grandpa kind of looks like grandson. No, the trapdoor is the whole stage. Don't worry, we're good. Okay, so not really a guess.
Yeah, I don't.
Potential godly.
Yeah, I mean, they could do so many different weird things that it
Yes.
could be anything.
Look, Thalia turned into a tree, and we were all like, yeah, so anything's in play.
And you think Sammy can't be his grandmother?
The guy wrote 5 books about Greeks, and he's like, "What about Rome?" So it's like anything could happen. Like I mean, the one thing that I feel like is definitely going to happen in the future of these books is like we are going to get an American aspect of the gods. Like that feels
because they did nod to that.
exactly, which is why I feel like that could be. So like when I say like anything could happen, I truly mean anything could happen in these books going forward.
If I had to guess with that, though, it seems like more of what we currently know is the American one. I wonder if when they go to Greece, there will be like a true
Older
proper
one, yeah.
Greek version.
Yeah, there we go.
That would be my thought if that does happen, if another aspect shows up.
This is cute.
Percy begins to say it's a coincidence, but then he knows, I've seen a lot of stuff in my life. I've never seen a coincidence with regards to all of the Greek stuff. Before they can say anything else, they hear horns in the distance as the senators, led by Reyna, come marching in. Percy says it's for the meeting, and did you do this because of like marching in, hurrah, hurrah?
Oh, no. When the senators go marching.
Oh, when the senators go marching in. The other one where they talk about marching in.
That's right. There's 2 of them.
Percy says it's for the meeting, and they must warn them about the warship at the meeting. Octavian is wondering why they would trust the Greeks, and he's apparently been soapboxing for 5 minutes against Percy's retelling of Juno's plan. The Senate seem to be a bit uneasy, but they don't seem like they want to interrupt Octavian. The Senate House is packed, including Tyson, who keeps smiling and waving at Percy, who's sitting up in the praetor's chair. Percy feels a bit silly in that chair, wearing a bedsheet and a purple cape. And Octavian's point is that the camp is already safe enough, thanks to their heroes and the new gold equipment that they have. And he's, saying, look, I'll even credit these new people, but, we're fine. Doing anything more is tempting fate. And in response to him saying, what is the point of doing anything else? Percy goes, I'm glad you asked. And I love turning the rhetorical question into a literal question so that you can dominate the conversation. Octavian tries to explain that he was being rhetorical, but Percy has a perfect counterattack because Octavian says, I wasn't, and Percy goes, part of the quest. Yes, I know. And you're wise to let me explain since I was. Percy needs to audition for the Camp Half-Blood improv team, the Laugh Bloods, because that was so fast. How did you come up with that so quickly? I am so jealous. That was masterful.
Yes-anding the heck out of Octavian.
God,
yeah.
just what a retort. Oh, so good. Some senators snicker. Octavian has to sit. Percy explains that Gia is waking and defeating 2 of her giants is only the start. He says the real war, and I wrote book 5, will take place in the land of the gods. Their
Book
quest
3, actually.
What?
Yeah.
They just hang out in books 4 and 5. Their quest will take them to Rome, the doors of death, and then to Greece. There's lots of squirming in the crowd, but Percy calms them down, and he says that they view the Greeks as their enemies, and the gods had good reason to separate them to prevent conflict, but now that needs to change if they are to defeat Gia. And now I am starting to worry a little bit of like, because I was just thinking like the Camp Half-Blood people will come over, it'll be fine, everything will be good. Now I am worried of like, what if there is a little bit of more of the butting heads, more beyond the awkwardness of like Reyna, Jason, Piper, but like bigger stakes of like proper like Greek versus Roman. I don't know.
You mean like Sammy Hazel Frank?
Oh God, who even know? I don't know. When that plot twist came up, I was kind of like, I don't have time to think about this right now. Like, I don't even know what's going on. Percy ends with saying that the prophecy makes it clear that the 7 demigods, Greek and Roman, must work together to close the doors of death. And one of the layers from the back laughs and says the last person who tried to interpret a prophecy was Michael Varus, and we all know how that turned out. This causes Octavian to smirk and some folks in the crowd to murmur, but Percy reminds them that he carried Juno across the Tiber, and he relays what she told him, that the prophecy is coming to pass. And he also reminds them that Mars came to visit in person and asks if they really think that 2 of the most important gods would come through for something that's not that big of a deal. Gwen says that Percy is right and asks if anyone really thinks that he's not a true hero of Rome, given everything that transpired yesterday, and there is no disagreement from anyone in the crowd. Reyna stands and says that the Greeks are known for their deception, so they might be enemies and hurt. Then Percy says that that may be the case, but enemies can become friends, citing the Amazons joining last night. And Hylla laughs and says that Percy has a point, so he clearly was on the speech and debate team in high school, because he's hitting all the perfect rebuttals. I love him really driving the point home here.
I just love this like intense debate amongst the Romans, and then the Amazon chimes in like, he's got a point, and everyone's like, shut up! This is not about you.
We didn't ask you. We let you in. We didn't say you had speaking privileges.
Hylla Killa or whatever your name is.
So then Percy says that the Greek and Roman demigods have already been working together. They just didn't realize it. His example is them, the Romans, attacking Othrys while the Greeks defended Olympus in Manhattan. And Percy says that he attacked Kronos himself. And Raina goes, you what? Which it's always fun when people do that. Frank does it a lot. Hazel did it a couple chapters ago. Now we have Raina doing it now. It's so fun that these people already think this dude is awesome. And then every now and then he's like, oh yeah, this other cool thing happened. And they're like, what?
It's the verbal equivalent of a massive spit take, right?
Percy says that he knows it sounds impossible, but he hopes he has earned their trust. He says that he believes that he, Hazel, and Frank are meant to go on this quest, and he thinks that the other four are on that ship, and one of them is Jason. And Octavian thinks that, all right, now he's just making stuff up. This is a blatant lie. Raina frowns and admits that it is tough to believe, as is them believing that they should trust a flying warship filled with Greek demigods. Percy says that they gotta just hear them out, and Jason will back up everything Percy says, and he swears his life on it. And I was like, why aren't you swearing on the river Styx? Too Greek for the Romans? Does the Tiber not have swearing privileges or any sort of gravitas? He has to swear on his life? Ooh, intense.
It is just weird to me that like this is the thing that's like too far. Like, hey, by the way, your buddy Jason will back up. They're like, I don't think so. Like, why is that the line that they draw? It's just very strange to me. I don't really get it. I do like the confidence that Percy is like, I will swear my life on it.
Yeah.
And I think that is, as you were just saying about like, will we get some actual conflict? I feel like we are definitely setting up like a good amount of book 3 is going to be like, there's going to be some actual like, oh, there's some culture clash here.
Yeah, I will say, just to make it perfectly clear and be perfectly honest, I do know what the cover of Mark of Athena looks like, because I do have to read it starting tonight in prep for tomorrow, or I guess starting tomorrow in prep for Sunday show, which is live streamed and everybody should get your tickets. Or if you're listening to the podcast after the fact, we'll be selling the replay on the Patreon where you can also get The Last and the Curious. But anyway.
That's what 2x speed sounds like.
I do know that the cover, I guess plug your ears if you were in the crowd, like really don't know what the cover looks like, but it does have what appears to be Jason and Percy on their respective horses in a clash. So I don't know.
Two other white guys, 2 different horses.
It'd be so funny. It's a different guy in a purple shirt and a different guy in an orange shirt.
That's actually just Leo and Frank. they got cover privilege.
So Octavian says that they will hold Percy to this swear. Oh, to get back to your point of like why it's such a big deal. I think that maybe it is because they're in this like strange mourning state of Jason. They haven't cleared out his room. They're still hoping he's alive. It's kind of a touchy subject. But then on the other hand, they are fine with like refilling his role of praetor. So I don't know.
Yeah, it just feels like the night before, like it just felt like, yeah, I get that you're a little hesitant to believe everything Percy says, but when this guy just saved everybody's life, maybe give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. Whereas like what's about to happen is like they want to do some immediate violence on this ship. And it's like, whoa, maybe let it land.
Yeah, I love how Raina here is like, the Greeks are known for their deception. And like, was his deception to get all of the monsters to attack your camp and then save it so that he could then attack your camp after that?
It's how you trick him. It's the long con.
Yeah,
it's the perfect. Now they will trust
Hera.
me.
Yeah.
Hera's back there like, this is not how any of this works. I just make people take long naps. It's way easier.
Octavian says that they will hold him to it if it turns out to be a trick from the Greeks. Now, of course, someone rushes in to say that the ship is here, but Tyson, before they can say it, screams, ship, because perfectly through the hole in the ceiling, he can see it. And then, as it gets closer and closer, Percy can see bronze shields and the distinctive features of the ship that he recalls seeing in his dreams.
The ship!
He thinks it's the most impressive vessel that he has ever seen. And then the messenger asks the praetors for their orders. How should we approach this? Octavian protests and he's all upset. And I want to let him know that he was not addressed. The messenger asked the praetors, what should we do? And this guy who's on BCC thinks that he can chime in and reply all like, no, sir, you were not addressed. You can read this email and that's it. But he tries to go in and say like, there's no way we can do this. We have to fight, blah, blah, blah. He goes on. And then he points angrily at Percy and says, his friends, his in italics, his friends are attacking in a warship. He has led them here. We must attack. And Percy simply responds with a firm no.
You ever do the accidental BCC or CC instead of BCC in your life?
I don't think so. I don't think I've never accidentally done like that or the big reply all, but I've definitely accidentally hit send before undo was an option and then you have to follow up.
Yeah.
But I've never done the like, oh no, I've sent this to a bunch of people thing.
Have you ever worked at a company where someone replies all to the whole company and then everyone replies all saying stop replying all in perpetuity?
Oh yeah. I was in engineering with old people who don't know how to use the internet. Come on.
My company uses Slack. It's not a problem.
But you don't get the like, oh, they tagged at everyone in a channel that really you shouldn't be at everyone in.
At here. Stop tagging at here.
No, every time someone adheres, it's usually needed, but it's also very annoying. When most of the time, I'm not going to say that. Never mind. I'm not going to get in trouble at work for a podcast.
Percy says, you all raised me as praetor for a reason. I will fight to defend this camp with my life, but these aren't enemies. I say we stand ready, but do not attack. Let them land. Let them speak. If it is a trick, then I will fight with you as I did last night, but it is not a trick. And I think it's incredibly reasonable to be like, let's not murder them immediately. I think it's totally sound logic. Naturally, everyone turns to look at Reyna to see how she feels. She's unsure, but she recognizes that chaos would ensue if she vetoed Percy, and she does believe that the people would follow her over Percy because she's been there longer. I think it's interesting that narrator Percy knows all of the internal thoughts of Reyna, but I guess it's just one of those things where like, we just got to get it.
Well, he is using language like Reyna would think and not Reyna thought. Right? Like he's saying like Reyna would think that. I think he was doing the calculation. Yeah.
He's being the mentalist. He's figuring it all out.
Yeah, he's being Sherlock from the Benedict Cumberbatch show where the words show up just like...
Yeah.
I didn't realize how bad that show aged, like in terms of the visual effects until that like H-Bomber Guy video where he was like, this TV show sucks.
You know, it didn't age poorly. Andrew Scott's acting.
Oh, that guy. Wow, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
God. Oh, and not even just his acting. Him! God, he's gorgeous! Wow. So she calls for everyone to hold their fire, but to stand ready. And then she says that Percy has earned his role and their trust until proven otherwise. Quote, Senators, let us adjourn to the forum and meet our ... new friends. The senators leave the auditorium and they are concerned. Tyson is hyped. Octavian is disgusted. Reyna stands at Percy's side and says that she trusts him and hopes that for everyone's sake, that they can keep the peace. Percy promises that they will. She looks up at the ship and gets a wistful look in her eye. You say Jason's aboard. I hope that's true. I've missed him. And I was like, that's not gonna go well. She continues on. Percy hangs back with Frank and Hazel. Frank thinks that Terminus is going to have a heart attack as the ship is going to land right in the forum. Hazel warns Percy that Romans take swearing on lives very seriously and asks him if he realizes that Octavian is definitely going to try and kill him if this fails. And Percy smiles. He knows that it's high stakes and that things could go wrong. But he also knows that Annabeth is on the ship, and if all goes according to plan, it'll be the best day of his life. And yeah, things always go according to plan for Percy Jackson.
On the other hand, he has made quite a number of gambles with his life in this book, and they've all come up Percy. So, like, I don't know, it feels pretty...
He's cooking.
Yeah.
Narrator Percy then says, quote, he threw one arm around Hazel and one arm around Frank. Come on, he said, let me introduce you to my other family, which is very sweet. And it's the end of this chapter. It's the end of this book. I have retitled this chapter, I Swear on My Life. How have the two of you retitled chapter 52?
Give me a second. You got anything?
No. I do like how they describe the scroll as an unremarkable scroll. I don't know why that line stands out to me. Maybe because I'm trying to think of what a remarkable scroll looks like.
Like old school and tattered and weathered edges. Yeah.
Hazel's ex calls her.
Oh. We'll have to see what happens. Now, if you're listening to the podcast, we're going to take another little break before we get into Q&A. So let's all say goodbye to the podcast people. Goodbye.
Hey, it's Mike from the future. We're just taking a break here because it's a longer episode before we get into the Q&A, which is really fun. You're going to love it. But while we are here, let me just mention a correction. We, at some point in this episode, talk about the Japanese practice of repairing something and making it stronger. I misheard what the person in the crowd said. I Googled it, and it's called Kintsugi, Kintsugi. I mispronounced it, or I just couldn't hear what the person 15 rows back was saying. Never easy to understand what people in the crowd are saying. Also, at some point in the Q&A, I think it comes up that Johnny and I took an Amtrak train and were given bad free pizza. That is another thing that got cut off in the first 10 minutes of the show that we didn't do in our re-record thing with Eric and Johnny. But the long and short of it is Johnny and I took an Amtrak train from Minneapolis, St. Paul, and made it all the way to Milwaukee. And two ridiculous things happened. One is that when we were on the light rail, Johnny remembered that we didn't buy metro tickets for the light rail in Minneapolis, St. Paul. And we were like, oh crap, we got to do this because we had a pass and it was a 24-hour thing, but then that time had passed, so we had to get another one. And Johnny remembered, we figured out we could buy them on our phone. We did. And then the next stop, the transit police came and were checking people's tickets. It was ridiculous. Then after that, we got on an Amtrak train. And the ridiculous thing that happened there is that they were giving free pizza to people. We thought it was paid pizza. And then the guy came back afterwards and was like, you guys don't want pizza? And we're like, oh no, we're okay. He's like, it's free. We were like, what? And then we went and we had some, and it was really bad, as you would expect from Midwest pizza on a train bought in bulk. It was not very good. So then when he came by being like, hey, there's more pizza, do you want more? We had to respectfully kind of be like, no, we're okay, thank you, we appreciate it. So those things didn't make it through, and then we'll reference that later in the episode. So now you hear some more inserted ads, and once they're complete, we'll get into the very fun Q&A.
But if you're here live, we got time for Q&A, so let's do Q&A. Here we go. So a lot of people sending questions. Let's do it. A lot of them were about cheese. So this first one is from Olivia. It says, hi, Mike and friends. Percy's quests always take him through different cities in the United States and always seem to have unlikely mythological connections. If Percy had to quest through your hometowns, what landmarks would he have to hit up, and what monsters/creatures/gods would he find there? Great show tonight. Shout out to Johnny for the great look to audience reactions, and Eric for wearing a pineapple shirt.
I got this one. Easy, easy.
Oh,
St.
God.
Louis, the Arch, the Echidna.
You got it. You got it in one.
I gotta think, what happens if Percy Jackson goes to Robbinsville, New Jersey? What landmarks would he have to hit up? I mean, the wild thing is I only lived there. I lived there until I was 14, so it was just a lot lot of he would go to my school and the local pizza
Halo
store.
Pub, right?
Yeah, Halo Pub, the ice cream shop. Yeah. Oh, Halo Pub. Oh, Halo Pub could be run by evil cupids. They have little tiny halos and stuff, right? They could be the monsters, so they go in for ice cream, and they're the monsters that they have to conquer.
And the trio, notably bad at identifying retail establishments that are run by monsters, would take forever to figure it out.
Of course. Other things in some I would need them to go. Oh, they would definitely find their way to Six Flags Great Adventure. That could be a whole thing because I wasn't too far away from that. That's the one that has King Ka, the really big roller coaster that they've now demolished so they can make a bigger one, King 2 Ka. This time it's personal. I think an adventure through Great Adventure would be fun. And then, they got to do something involving the Jersey Shore, because I would spend a lot of my summers up at the Jersey Shore. My grandpa lived there.
Snooky's a monster! Snooky's a monster!
Oh, all of the, kind of like how the Lacergonians, all of the people from Jersey Shore turn out to be evil monsters. That's really good. Yep. What about you for your hometown?
For Cleveland, the thing that immediately comes to mind is we have a really big cemetery called Lakeview Cemetery that both has Rockefeller's grave, which is a giant obelisk, shocker, and Grant's tomb. And I feel like Grant, guy that won the Civil War.
Ulysses S. Grant.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, won the Civil War for the right side. He probably was a demigod in this world, so I feel like they would do something spooky with a tomb. It's a cool structure. I'm trying to think if there's anything else particularly like
As you think
landmarky?
more, I will say,
Yeah.
because you brought up the Union, when I was deciding what clothes to wear for the show, like I've already done a couple of different things where I wore like Brewers colors and stuff like that. But I was looking up like the Wisconsin like state flag and stuff. But I found like a Wisconsin Union flag, which was like navy and gold and red. And I was like, oh, that's kind of fun. So I tried to do like blues and golds and reds and stuff. Yeah, I think it was called like the Wisconsin Civil War era flag. And I did have to real quick check like what side of the Civil War was Wisconsin on?
The north or the south?
I was like, I'm pretty sure I know what side they were on, but you never know, so let me just check. They were on the good side.
Mason-Dixon is quite far south of us.
Missouri made it real confusing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Like, I
I
mean,
feel like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is just an Apollo temple, right?
I'm like that doesn't feel old enough. Like I remember that not existing. Like that was built in my life.
What about like the Cleveland Guardians, the big statues? Them coming to life.
The Cleveland
feels
Guardians.
so-
They would be coming to life.
We have a bridge. I think it might be called the Bob Hope Memorial Bridge. And there's these giant, I think they're limestone structures. They're called the Guardians of Traffic. And they're these giant 4 pillars with creepy guys with laurels on.
And now there's a baseball team named after them.
And they're all holding a different type of transportation.
What are the 4 modes of transportation?
Car, horse and buggy, and 2 more things.
They should be called the Intermodal Guardians, like
yeah.
the Milwaukee Intermodal
I
Station.
love the Intermodal Station. That's such a fun name, the Milwaukee Intermodal Station for trains and buses. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Only to be outdone by the recombobulation area in the airport.
Either I would say Grant's Tomb or the Guardians of Traffic,
Okay,
because the Guardians of
sick.
Traffic rule.
Love it. Okay, this one is from Sam. Sam says, "Hey, Mike and Co. Very glad to have you in Milwaukee." The subject line says, "I have jelly beans on my table and I'm not 95," because I said anyone who did would be 95. So I work in the cheese capital of the world, Plymouth, Wisconsin. Yes, that's real. And I want to ask if the main trios of the books had a favorite form of cheese, what would it be? Think string cheese, fried cheese, spray cheese, a cheese platter, etc. From Sam, longtime listener, first time live shower. So I feel like Leo would have to be like spray cheese, Cheese Whiz, because it's the goofiest cheese.
I mean, I was thinking mozzarella stick.
Oh, mozzarella stick is good.
But maybe like Tyson's more of a mozzarella stick.
Tyson, because
Yeah.
it's just like perfect childhood innocence. That feels really good.
That actually makes sense, yeah.
I could
Jason is just a
Craft single?
Craft single.
Craft single.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see Piper would be like a nice cheese, but not like a super fancy, like overstated one. So maybe just like a really solid like brie, but it doesn't have like pretentious packaging and all of that.
The rind, though, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not like the ones that come like in the like wooden thing.
We gotta avoid
and they're
doing types,
wrapped
though,
and
but
there's
yeah.
a bow and you have to like peel the red thing around the yeah. I don't think she's going the fancy and all that.
I mean, we're going to get groans, but a Gorgon would be Gorgonzola.
Correct.
Less groans than I expected. I'll take
Mm-hmm.
it.
And then, I mean, anyone else? I think Grover could be like cheese sticks because since he's a searcher, like the like string cheese and the little thing is you can like take them on the go and stuff. Like if
yeah.
you're out
I was
exploring.
really wondering where that was going.
That's good. Yeah, there's a lot of fun forms of cheese. Okay, this one is from Anna. Speaking of cheese, nobody calls it a brand of cheese curds. Just squeaky or not squeaky. I don't know if it was like that. I'm not familiar
Hang
with.
on, what is squeaky and not squeaky?
Oh, I at least know this. Because I've done 2 live shows previously and I've learned lots of things about them. It is basically if you like chew them and they squeak in your mouth, they are squeaky. And they're fresh. Yeah.
So if I were to call you a squeaky cheese curd, that would be a
compliment. Okay. Yeah. Now, is it not squeaky ones? Are they just like inferior or are they just a different type or a different style? Inferior, okay. The disdain that everyone had in their voices describing non-squeaky cheese curds. I gotta say, when we did the show here last year, someone brought us cheese curds and beer. Are you here in the show? Yes, okay. I gotta say, those cheese curds and that beer was so good. They were so good that I Googled like all of the beers, like, do they ship to New York? And they were all like, no. Oh.
Hey,
It was really good. We had a wonderful time in the hotel room at undisclosed location hotel afterwards. It was delicious. Thank you so much. What was your name, by the way? I'm so bad with names. Riley, yes, gosh, thank you so much. Oh, and you had like written descriptions on like loose leaf paper of like all the and like allergy concerns in the beer. It was so thoughtful.
Hey, do you know who's playing first base tonight for the Milwaukee Squeaky Cheese Curds?
He's thinking.
I can't think of like a first name. Pepper Jack Johnson. There it is. Okay, anyway, number 1, Johnny, I too read the chapter today and went, wait, is Percy peeing right now? 2.
Stopped midstream.
2, Mike, you're designing shoes for each of your podcasts. What do they look like and when are they coming to the merch table? 3, Eric, Ohio is not the Midwest. Sorry.
Wrong.
This emoji with the X.
Okay, we had a very nuanced conversation about this during intermission, which is that it is not a state level conversation.
Yeah. That's the big thing. People think the Midwest is a bunch of states, but like I say you start at Pittsburgh and then you go, That's what I'm saying.
It should be vibes defined, not state lines defined, because you were saying St. Louis feels Midwest, but not Kansas City, and they're both Missouri. Ooh.
I think there's a ghost in here.
Leave me out of this. I'm just the New Jersey boy.
Way to get into bar fights.
Okay.
So we should stop talking about it.
Midwest.
So if I was designing shoes for each of my podcasts, what would they be? I would say, obviously, for Horse, it would be a pair of basketball shoes, naturally. And
Why?
say what?
I said why.
Why? I would say if we're going with meddling adults, Encyclopedia Brown feels just like an old school like PF Flyers, Chuck Taylors kind of vibe. So I feel like they'd be like that, but with the bright colors that match the meddling adults logo. I think for the Newest Olympian, it would be cool to get like action water moccasins, like the galoshes that you wear like through that. For Potterless, I don't really know. I would think just like, I would probably just go with like a casual, like everyday kind of sneaker, like a leisure wear kind of sneaker, and then make them just like violently purple and stuff.
What about Last and Curious?
Oh, Last and the Curious? What's the most like, I remember one of my friends in middle school, this was like in the era when like Pimp My Ride was the hottest show on television, had like spinning rim shoes that like when you stepped down, the spinners, like the spinning rims like spun.
Or they're just Heelys.
Or Heelys. Heelys is a really good answer. And then modern muckraker, I guess, would be dress shoes. Yeah, cool. Alrighty. That's the shoes / cheese / what is the Midwest question. We will move on. This one is from Lindsay. Lindsay says, hello all. As an English / theater teacher, I geeked out when you referenced Winter's Tale. Is that the exit pursued by a bear? Yeah, cool. See, I know that that's a Shakespeare thing, but not what play it's from. That's where I'm at. And that'll be a fun way to answer this question. My question comes from that. Which Shakespeare characters do you think are most like our favorite Percy Jackson friends? Thank you so much for coming to Milwaukee. And please, please, please come back soon. P.S. Even though I am wearing a Yankees hat for my girl Annabeth, I need you to know that she's the only reason I bought it. Go Brewers. Like, I have nothing against the Brewers. I support any baseball team that has a slide in the outfield. So Shakespeare characters like Percy Jackson characters.
Frank is the guy that turns into a donkey.
Midsummer Night's Dream.
Midsummer Night's Dream.
Bottom. Yes,
Yeah.
That's very good. That's very good.
You had a good one.
Yeah, but I forgot it. I think.
Nico Hamlet.
Yeah, Nico's
Ghosts.
Hamlet because he sees ghosts. Yeah.
Oh, that's very good. That's very good. Oh, Terminus could be who I played in Midsummer Night's Dream. Tom Snout, who played the Wall. You can watch my performance on YouTube, Rice University's Midsummer Night's Dream. I rewatched it after one of the Midwest shows that I was here 2 years ago with Michael Hollis. It's a good production. Not because of like me, like the actors, I mean, like people are very talented. You were there.
Yeah, I was there. Who is the obnoxious Aphrodite cabin leader?
Drew.
Can she be Katerina the Shrew from Taming of the Shrew?
I'll take
Taming
it.
of the Drew!
Oh, good. Great. We move on. Perfect. This one is from Kate. Kate says, Madison to Minneapolis to Milwaukee, 2 shows in 2 days. Wow, dedication. Were you on our Amtrak that was delayed a lot, or did you drive? Okay, yeah, cool. But I bet your drive didn't have free bad pizza. Hi, Mike and friends. We aren't the land of 10,000 lakes, but what would our cast of heroes' favorite activities be at the lake? And would Jason's American answer be grilling the food and driving the boat? Yes. Love the show, Kate. So it's a fun lake party with all our PJO friends. What are people doing? Leo is making sure the music is good. Like, I feel like he's setting up the Sonos outdoor speakers and doing surround sound and EQ.
But
Like,
before the party, he like rigged the boat to like go super fast.
yeah, he got rid of the governor on like the golf carts around. He's making everything go way faster. Yeah. I mean, Percy's just doing all the water sports. He's water skiing, he's wakeboarding, he's doing all that kind of stuff.
I feel like Hazel's like set up in a hammock for some reason. I don't know why. Just like feels like she wants to just be chill near the water. I don't know.
Also, if it is a lake that has like a beachy, like sandy vibe around, maybe she's like digging. Like when I used to do like beach stuff in New Jersey, we would like dig like a big like pit and make like furniture and the chairs and stuff. Since she's all underground, she can do stuff like that.
treasures.
Remember, these people's idea of a lake definitely has a beach vibe.
Right? Yeah. No. God.
It's
Oh
a
my God.
big lake.
The lake that's like right around here is awesome. Every year that I've done a show here, I just like go and like.
Do you mean Lake Michigan?
Yeah. Sorry. Did I say the lake? I meant the beach around the lake here. Lake Michigan
lake.
is awesome. This is like true. Like my knowledge of the not coasts of America is like is
Of the Midwest, you say?
No, I don't want to offend anyone.
Annabeth, definitely reading unbothered.
Yeah, just chilling and reading for sure. Yeah.
Tyson is tubing.
Yeah.
Behind or on a skidoo.
Leo also could be on a jet ski because
Yeah.
that feels very like motorcycle car-ish. Yeah. Okay. And then I guess Poseidon's driving the boat. Okay. This one is it Leah or Leia? Leah and Hadley. We are the only two teens at Shank tonight. Shank Hall, which apparently, at least since the last time I performed, is now an all-ages venue. Woo! Before you had to bring a parent or guardian. Now you can keep them at home. But that's not the case here. Hey, Shubes, my mom came through on her promise and brought me and my friend to the show. Your take on teens these days? Spot on. Chef's kiss. Who are you hoping will show up in the next books of this series and why? No spoilers, Johnny, from Leah and Hadley. So, real quickly, I guess, like, obviously there's going to be the other friends are going to show up. But if I'm trying to guess of, like, I would say, our folks from The Lost Hero are going to show up, people that we know. But I think it would be very fun if we get, like, some of the other gods, whether they are major gods that we didn't get a lot of. Like, we didn't get a lot of, like, Apollo, for example, or Hestia was only, like, in the very end of book 5. It would be cool, especially, I don't know what their Roman counterparts are. Like, maybe we get those Roman people who we, like, kind of heard about with, like, taking over the sun and the moon. Like, maybe they come back. So I could see, expanding the Roman stuff. I would think it would be very fun to see more how we got to see Mars compared to Ares. If we get to see like more Roman versions of other stuff. And then maybe some of the Roman specific ones, like we've heard about Bologna, and there's no Greek counterparts. So it would be fun to meet some of them. So I would say just like more of the godly stuff would be very fun. Is there anyone you're trying to see, Eric?
I mean, I think what I said earlier, like the idea of like there potentially being like an American thing, and then you said like, what about like an older, timey version of that would be that. But I think, yeah, exploring more of the different aspects. Did we get in this book any of Neptune at all? No. So like,
No,
Neptune,
and he didn't even like
got a
talk
lot
to
of
the
his son.
dream.
Yeah, a lot of the sun. I noticed that. I noticed a lot of people saying something like the Son of Neptune did this book. Yeah, but I mean, like Neptune alone is something I definitely want to see.
Okay, yeah, that would be very fun.
Like the SpongeBob version of Neptune.
Yeah, specifically that one. Yeah.
My crown! Okay, this one is from Riley. The subject line, and I'm also going to stay out of this one. It says, Quick Trip is greater than Casey's. Sorry, not sorry, Iowa. Okay.
Casey's drastically overrated.
Okay.
Quick Trip is like modern, and Casey's is like stuck in the like. Not KW, not KW.
This says KWIK.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah. KW.
There's another
KW.
Quick Trip,
That's, yeah.
and that
QT.
one is the best.
Okay, hold on. Whoa. Okay.
Yes, Q is better. Thank you.
The
Seems like
heat's
more
off
people
me.
think the
The
K
heat's
is
finally
better.
off me about a Midwest opinion. I'm safe.
Leave. Yeah. Okay. I'm just a Wawa true and true boy. I will just defend Wawa against all else. But here's what I'll say about the Quick Trip versus Casey's. And I'll at least say it on the show here. Maybe I'll delete it out of the episode because I don't want to upset Iowa. A lot of people have told me to go to Casey's. And a lot of people told me to go to Casey's and order pizza. I live in New York City. I know I put out on the social media, like, hey, I'm going to the Midwest. What Midwest food should I absolutely not miss? And many of you here replied. And I will say, like, anyone doing stuff in Milwaukee, for the most part, it was like not pizza recommendations. It was like, the stuff you would expect.
The spiciest Thai food known to man.
God, we got to talk about that real quick.
Like 20 feet that
What's
way.
the name of the place?
Lemongrass. They've rebranded.
Okay, but it was
Very good.
It's
Very
like
good. Let's
Thai
start there.
and Laos.
Yeah.
Food combined. They ordered it, and you said it was like on a scale from 0 to 10.
Yeah, and 1 to 2 was medium. 3 to 4 was spicy or hot or something, and then 5 through 10 was like words like volcano and hellfire and whatever.
Before he goes on, we are not 3 white boys that can't handle spice.
When I go to any sort of restaurant that is a spice scale, I ask the waiter, what do you give white people? And then whatever they tell me, I go 1 higher, please. So like that is where we're operating.
I order at my local indie place an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
And it is spicy.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, I go and I'm like, I would like a 5. And she was like, oh, honey. I was like, fine,
And
I'll
she's
take
right.
Yeah, I was like, I'll take a 4. And let me tell you, I'm up here and my tummy is a rumbling.
Yeah. We had 3s, and it was like the right level. I think if I was ordering normally, I would have gone with a 4, but for I'm about to talk on stage for 2 hours, 3 was where we were at.
Yeah, like a 3 should be a flavorful spice. This is spicy at a 3. Like
3 out of 10.
Out of 10.
This
yeah,
is
just like,
30%
what is
up
happening?
the
This is
scale.
wild.
There's 70% to go.
It's delicious. The scale just doesn't make any sense.
So anyway, people recommended normal food here. A lot of people from Iowa being like, you have to get pizza at Casey's. And I'm like, do I? But the one thing that I will do just to try it, a lot of people are like, you got to try the breakfast pizza at Casey's. That's at least like far enough removed that I'll at least try it just to see. But I will see if Quick Trip is better than Casey's. Anyway, here's Riley's question. Hi,
Wait,
Tina.
that wasn't it?
Oh, no, that was just the subject line we were talking about. Just the subject line. Hi, Tino Trio. Welcome back to Milwaukee. My question is, what is a song you love to sing that makes you wish you were a better singer? For me, it's probably Decode by Paramore. Thanks, Riley. Fantastic. P.S. If you 3 need a round of spotted cows, I'd be happy to buy a round for you. That did happen the first time I was here. I'm particularly good, but if you folks want to cash in on some spotted cows, I'm not going to stop you.
Recently, my answer that makes me wish I was a better singer is abracadabra. Because I'm like, abracadabra.
My answer is Bulletproof by LaRue. I wish I could sing that, and it didn't stop me from singing it in my car alone.
Wait, how does...
The like this time?
Oh, yeah,
baby.
yeah.
Yeah, I can't hit it. But it's just when in the final chorus, she just the extra oomph in it. Oh, and then LaRue's hair on the cover. Come on.
I'm tone deaf, so all songs. There's not a song that I could not sing better due to my lack of tone.
Okay, so this will be our final question to round it out. And this is a very fun one sent in by Caitlin. The subject line is Wisconsin job security, baby, with a question mark at the end. Hi, Mike. Welcome back to Milwaukee, a.k.a. The Good Land. I know that a while back you talked about how great it would be if Disney used the Percy Jackson IP for a water park. Well, fun fact about Wisconsin, 2 hours west of Milwaukee is home to the water park capital of America, the Wisconsin Dells, which we did stop in. Oh, so water park capital of the world. The Wisconsin Dells. We did stop there. Our train stopped there for a while, and there was like this big go-kart track that had like a really steep incline or decline. I don't know if you go up or down that, but when we were parked, I was like, should we go go-karting? It looked really fun. It was a go-kart and mini golf place.
I'm always down for go-kart.
Yeah, I was like, ooh.
I was like, hey, we got a show.
Yeah, I know. So we did also hear, because as we were stopping, the guy who also was talking to us about the free pizza was like, it's the tallest water slide in the world. And I couldn't see it from the window, and I really wanted to.
Not that tall.
The email continues. One of the many water parks / theme parks is called Mount Olympus, where every ride is themed after Greek mythology. Below, I have listed a few of the rides. I want you to guess what the ride is, water ride, roller coaster, etc., and describe what you think the ride is like. So, Caitlin, where are you in the crowd? Okay, you will be the representative for when I ask, like, what actually is it, so that I don't get a cacophony of people being like, blah, 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 Ohio's not the Midwest. So, the
3x speed.
The first one is called River Styx. That feels like a log flume to me.
I would, because Styx, it's right there.
Yeah, and just particularly, like, it feels, more so than any water ride, it feels like a log flume.
Wait, is it spelled River Styx? Like
S-T-Y-X.
Because that would be epic.
It's spelled the proper. What do you think it is?
Yeah, log flume.
It's a lazy river.
The lazy river. That also makes sense.
Yeah, that
Because
does
they have
make
things
sense. That
floating
does make
around. I
sense.
get it. Yeah. Okay. Medusa's slide wheel. That feels roller coastery. I'm gonna guess it's one of those like carnival rides where like you get in it and then it like goes up and then it like spins in a circle and like it tilts you this way and tilts you that way and you're harnessed in like by your shoulders.
Yeah, I was thinking that or one of the boats thing that goes
Oh, like the
that.
swinging
But I
ship
feel like
or-
you could come up with something better name. So I
Yeah.
think it could be the things that like
I think it's one of those.
the Ferris wheel that also spins while you're on.
Oh yeah. Oh, the kind of like the zipper. Yeah. Okay.
I think it's one of those toilet bowl water rides.
Oh, like the big tornado
yeah,
looking
yeah,
one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. What is it?
This is the first of its kind. It's a water ride that it like rotates while you're in
The first of its kind of water ride that rotates while you're in it.
How do we not get that one?
air and it like rotates.
It's Medusa's hair and it rotates. I know we have to
I
drive to Des
gotta
Moines
get a
tomorrow, but
video.
should we detour?
I linked the website.
You linked the website. Okay. Ooh, baby. We might have some research to do tonight. All right. The next one is Poseidon's Rage. I will guess this is one of those like water tube slide / roller coaster combos where like at points there's like the like track under that like shoots you to make you go faster and stuff.
Yeah. Are these all water rides? No, so okay.
Some are water rides and some are roller coasters.
So this definitely feels like a roller coaster to
Okay.
me. But I'm gonna say it's one of the ones that you are dangling from.
Oh, okay. Hanging feet roller coaster.
Yes.
Good old fashioned wooden coaster.
Okay. What do we got?
It's a really, really huge wave pool that I think most of us in here, if you've been, have like scraped a knee on.
Everyone. Okay. Big wave pool. The next one, just Hades. Nothing else. That feels like roller coaster to me. Like
That-
loops,
yeah.
drops. Like that just feels like it's Hades.
I think it's a roller coaster that frequently goes like.
She was saying, tell me more. I would guess like, I think your classic like big drop, loops, corkscrews, all the G-force and stuff. That's my guess.
I mean, it's probably not an indoor roller coaster because it would be dark. But it could be one that like does dip underground. Like
Yeah,
the Millennium
yeah.
Force at Cedar Point
Right,
does
right.
underground at a point. So yeah.
That was what you were going to say?
Yeah.
What is it?
Okay, so it's a roller coaster. It goes underground, like under a parking lot, and they just updated it in the last couple of years and made it go 360.
Okay, roller coaster.
Nice. Oh,
Wooden roller coaster 360. It goes underground under a parking lot. Whoa.
we've lost.
It does a
the plot.
barrel roll with a wooden coaster. That's wild. Okay, Trojan horse. I will guess swinging ship.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one that's the ship.
No, it's literally a go-kart track that goes through a Trojan horse.
A go-kart track that goes through a Trojan horse? All right, this next one is just called Cyclops. I'm going to, again, since it's just one word, I will, again, Cyclops.
I'm gonna go with the rotor, which is the thing where the floor drops out. I don't think those
you
are legal
you
anymore.
stick to the
though.
wall, the one where you
Oh,
see, yeah.
I don't think those
like
are legal
Starship
anymore.
2000? Yeah, that's a
they're-
good guess.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking that too. I will say that as well, like the stick to the wall spinny one.
I think it's the. Oh wait, yeah. That's what we're talking. Okay.
Yeah. Wooden roller coaster. Okay, Zeus. That feels like electric, like metal. What I was describing for Hades roller coaster.
Hanging feet.
Oh, I think in a car, but I like
okay.
hanging feet.
I think it's one of those ones that's like this.
Oh, like you go up and back?
Yeah, and you go up
okay.
and back, yeah.
What do you... Another... Okay, I'm sensing a theme. The
guys got any metal roller coasters up
The
here?
Rise of Icarus. This feels like Superman Ultimate Flight in Six Flags Great Adventure where you're like laying down and you're in like a flying motion.
That's I would go exactly that. Yeah.
I think it's like one of the rides where you like go up and you're in a seat and you just go up and then they hold you up there and you don't know when you're gonna draw. And then you're
Oh, that would be good. Yeah. What is it?
I think this is what the guy was talking about with the world's tallest water slide.
World's tallest water slide and just like straight drop kind of thing, like Summit Plummet.
I think it wraps around and then
Oh, it wraps around and then goes down?
it's doing like the last year.
Whoa, that sounds tight. Okay, the last one is Pegasus. I will guess Kitty Ride, where it's just like the Pegasus, like Dumbo at Disney, that just goes like up and down slowly in a circle, and there's a bunch of different Pegasi.
Yeah, it could just be like the carousel.
That's the perfect guess.
What do you think?
Last wooden roller coaster.
Oh no, damn!
Wow.
I should have guessed that for everything. Oh man. All right. See you next time. Come to Milwaukee, Caitlin. P.S. If you're a coffee drinker, I strongly suggest likewise in the Third Ward.
Did that used to be Kickapoo? Yes. Yeah, I love that place. Yes.
Okay, great. Which you can get to via the Hop, aka Milwaukee's most controversial mode of transportation. What is the Hop? Streetcar. Oh, that sounds like fun. Why is it controversial? Okay, hold on. Why is it controversial? Tie-dye shirt?
It only reaches downtown right now because that's all they wanted to invest so far. It doesn't actually help people get into the city from the surrounding areas. Like,
Okay.
you have to reach up to the east side.
So it doesn't go to a lot of places. It goes to downtown. You are talking to two people who lived in Houston, Texas for 10 years. You're describing the Houston, Texas light rail, where it's like it's there but doesn't do much.
When they were putting it up, they found
waste of
the
money.
tracks from the old light rail that we got rid of.
Wait, so you had a light rail, they got rid of it,
It's been a whole thing.
and then they used those tracks?
No, they uncovered them
They-
and got rid of them, and they're like, oh, well, we're just going to do it again. Why not?
Okay, so they uncovered them, they got rid of them. Rather than utilize previously established infrastructure, they made new stuff. All right, yeah, that sounds bad and very controversial.
Guess we got an Uber.
Or just walk. All right, but that, on what better way to end the show than on controversial modes of public transportation? That's the end of our show. Give yourselves a round of applause for making it out to the show. This was super awesome. We sold a bunch of tickets. This was an absolute delight, so thank you so much. Give it up to Johnny and Eric for being incredible guests. And give it up to the whole team here at Shank Hall, Mike doing sound, and Peter and Keith and everybody else. Thank you all to everyone here at Shank Hall. Love performing here. It's always a blast looking at all the frame pictures of all the very important people I perform here, and then me, the book guy. So that's always fun. And also, shout out to Becca and Carolyn for running the merch table. You can still get stuff on the way out if you want. But this was a blast. I had so much fun. I genuinely always love coming here. It's such a delight. I have such a rosy view of Milwaukee, not just because I come here and the weather's nice, but also I have such a fun time at these shows. So thank you all so much. I love your city, though I hope we beat your basketball team if we play you in the playoffs. But I had to end with the heat on me. You're good.
None of you can go to the bathroom now.
But seriously, thank you all. This was such a fun show. And until we make our return, and maybe we'll answer the question, what is the Midwest? Until then, thanks so much for coming out, everybody!
Hello! Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Newest Olympian. This podcast is created, hosted, and produced by me, Mike Schubert. I also run the social media and the website. Our editor is Sherry Guo. The music is by Bettina Campamanis and Brandon Grugel, and the art is by Jessica E. Boyd. If you really enjoy the show and you just can't get enough, there's a couple of different things that you can do. First, you can go to patreon.com/The Newest Olympian, and you can get access to all sorts of bonus content that I post on a very regular basis. You also can find us and get involved in the community on social media. We've got an Instagram, we've got a Blue Sky, we've got a Twitter, we've got a Facebook, we've got a subreddit, we've got a Discord that's available to all patrons. If you want to support the show, you can get merch at thenewsolympian.com/merch. You can see live shows at thenewsolympian.com/live, and you can check out the aforementioned Patreon. And speaking of, I want to give a shout out to our highest tier, the Ultra God tier patrons who are helping to produce this show with their financial support. So shout out to Kelsey Gillespie, Vicky Garcia, Frida Vikstrom, Megan Moon, Polly Burge, Nikki Harris, Tatiana Schmidt, Sandra Rose, Josh Sayer, Abby Ryan, Marco Redhouse, Sam Reeby, Mrs. O'Leary, Milo Kim, Sandkopf, Rayla Matthews, Sky Mallory, Persasabeth, Aiden Parziani, Grace, Ginger Spurs Boy, A Cup of Solace, Bradamus Prime, Skylar Sisters, Scott Sheldon, Natanya Page, Ann M. Thayer Cohen, Bella, Percy Jacked Son, Han Haley Hingelheimer Schmidt, Catherine Sloan, Haley Mary, Jim Jam Koopy, Kit Kat Crumbs, Andrea, not Andrea, Jordan Ray, Nico's Black Vespa, and Zayden Wintergate. If you want to support the show in a non-monetary way, just spreading the show via word of mouth is huge. You can tell someone directly who you think would like the show. You could post about it on social media. You could leave a rating and review on whatever podcasting app you're using. All of these things really do help, and I really appreciate anyone who has done it in the past or will do so in the future. But I'm just so thankful that you tuned into this episode, and I hope you tune into our next episode where we'll be joined by Dr. Moya McTeer to break down all of the myths that found their way into the Son of Neptune. But until then, I'll pursue you later. Hey everyone, how's it going? It's me, ASMR Mick. So we've been doing a bunch of hikes here in Switzerland, and some of the trails just bring you through people's farms. So I've been taking voice memos of a couple of things. Here's some cowbell noises from cows wearing cowbells. Thank you so much for listening.